Hello there, how you doing? It's Sunday night coming to you from South London. It is, well, we were having a good old chat in the background, so we're a little bit late. It's about 9:10 and it's Sunday the 19th of July. As I said, coming to you live from South London. How you all doing? How's your week been? Thankfully, slightly cooler in this part of the UK, and quite frankly, want to keep it that way. So that evil thing in the sky can go somewhere else now. So it's really nice that we've got a cool night. I am really looking forward to this show because I have been an admirer and a follower of this lady for some time. She is just awesome. I think when you finish watching this, you should go and find her channel on Instagram and her work straight away. She's awesome. So I'm going to bring her in because there's so much we want to chat about, and I know we're just going to chat about so much. So I'm going to bring in the lovely Dawn Anna Williamson. Come in, lovely.
Hi. Wow, what a nice intro. Thank you.
Well, that's all right. I was just trying to get the Williamson out because I'm like, my little drawing thing cut it off, and I was like, no, got to get the Williamson out. It's very important.
Yes.
And welcome to Wicked Women, honey. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you for having me. This is fun. I'm not normally on this side of the thing. I'm normally the interviewer.
Yes, I know. So I get to do that today, and it's kind of nice that you've got two girls. Like, it's nice to have another lady talk to another lady, because sometimes we have guys join us, and
okay.
So this is really nice for me. Now, I've been a follower of yours for quite a while, and I literally typed in, I think it was Carrie Bradshaw a while ago, looking for something that she'd worn of some kind, and your Instagram popped up, and I was just taken back by it because you've put so much heart and soul into keeping the flame alive. But before we get to the whole Sex and the City stuff, I want to talk about you, Dawn, because you are a fellow Brit.
I am.
And tell us about yourself. What took you to New York, baby?
Well, I'm an actor, so obviously you can probably tell that from my Instagram that, a lot of the content that I do is kind of like fashion and acting blended together. But I'm an actor. I was a child actor back in England when I was a kid. Kind of fell out of it for a long time, went into TV hosting, and then got my green card to come and live in America because of my TV hosting, my fashion styling work. And when I came here, I was like, you know what? I want to go back into acting. And so the first week I landed in here, I went back to acting school, and that's what's kept me here in New York.
And was it a shock to the system when you left Blighty for New York, New York?
I mean, yes, of course, because the thing what you have to understand about New York is it's hard living. It's hard living. Like, people think it's so glamorous, and it is glamorous, but it's glamorous if you visit New York. It's not glamorous if you live here and you work here. It's hustle and it's hard and it's dirty and it never stops, and you're exhausted all of the time. And so I remember just being almost horrified, like everything, it's even stuff like your hair and your skin, like the water's different, the pollution's different. I aged here in ways that I'd never aged in any of the other countries that I lived. And I used to look really young when I was in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. That I've lived a few places, and I got here and was like, why do I look so old? And it's hard living unless you are a mega rich person and you can be driven around, you don't have to take the subway. It's a huge culture shock because it's not clean, it's dirty, and it's insane. The stuff we see on a regular basis in the streets of New York, most people will never see in their lives. And so, yeah, completely like night and day different from everywhere I'd ever lived.
I think people think that about London. I think when they come to London, there's still this mystery that it's paved with gold, and and it's not. It's, it's a shit show. I mean,
comparative to New York, though,
is it better?
It is, yeah. I mean, people say, oh, it's a smaller version of New York, and to some degree maybe that's true, but I just don't think there's any they're just not the same in terms of how dirty they are, how dilapidated so much is here, how many people are here. London is very different. You know,
Yeah.
you're walking around SW1, it's not like walking. I suppose if you walk around the Upper East or Upper West Side, maybe you
Yeah.
have that same sort of vibe. But no, it's really different. It's really different.
I mean, you and I were talking just before the show about, because I lived in Calgary and it was so clean and there was no graffiti
Yeah.
and everyone was really friendly, and everyone puts things in the bin, and I wasn't used to that. And then my friends came over from Calgary and they came here and they were like, I just didn't realize it was so dirty over here.
That's so funny.
And it's like, yeah, I'm really sorry about that, love, but it is. And how old were you when you went to New York for the first time?
So I was in my 30s when I got to New York. I've been here for quite a long time now. So
Do you consider it home now? Would you come back?
what, England?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a house in England, so I still have my home there. My family are there. I visit pretty regularly. I don't know if I would permanently live in England again. I feel like the opportunity is just not there. I mean, would I be able to do what I do content creation wise, in England? Probably not. No, half of what I do works because I'm in New York City, and the backdrops and the things that I can recreate. And I think for acting as well, maybe I could go to LA, but I just don't think we've ever had the level of opportunity in England as there is in somewhere like New York.
That's a really good point, actually, because I don't know about you, but I mean, I love that I'm British and I'm proud Brit. But when I lived abroad, I saw so many people's energy was like, if you want to do something, they go, this is great. How are we going to make it happen? And there's so much positive energy to make it happen. When I was back home and you would say similar things, they'd go, well, how much is that going to cost?
Yes, that's right.
There is very much a different vibe in Britain. And I think for me, when I went abroad, I think that changed me. So I've been trying to get back since, because as much as I love the home country, it's gone through so many changes since you've been here full time.
Yeah, no, and I know that too, because obviously I speak to my parents every day. My nieces are there. Like, I'm still heavily invested. My best friends are there, but it is really different. And this place is not great either. Like, we're living, and let's not talk about politics, but we're living in an absolute shit show in both sides of the ocean here. And it's affecting everybody, and it's making it hard for everybody, which I find, I'm just so over it. But it's as bad here as it is in England, but I know England has been worse for longer.
Well, because number 10's got a revolving door now. And
well, at least you get to have a revolving door. Here they just keep them there.
We've had so many prime ministers in the last couple of years. It's like, which one have we got now? Because
if we had a revolving door here, maybe there might be less problems.
It's like, I forget who's prime minister half the time.
No, I have no idea now. No idea.
Well, I think it's Andy Burnham or Burnham, something like that. He's coming in on Monday, and it's like he wasn't voted in. He was just suddenly like, I'm here. So
this is what I love about only English people can make stuff up as you go along. We just absolutely. We'll just make new rules, and we'll just decide this is happening. All right, yeah, carry on. I mean, if I'd have known the role was up for jobs, I'd have come up for grabs. I'd have come back and done it myself.
And you couldn't have done a worse job, girl. You probably would have done a so much better job at doing
absolutely.
it. It's got to a point in Britain where you actually, when I don't know about you, find some where you'll talk to someone and they'll find out you're British, and you'll be like, lately, because our reputation has not been the best over here. Right. And I think that when I lived abroad, and I wondered if you felt like this, that you miss so many things about, like, small packet of crisps.
I was just talking to my sister. So my sister-in-law sent me a care package last week from my nieces, and it was just a box full of crisps, marshmallows, flumps, all of my favorite sweets. And I opened it and I said, this is the best thing anyone, and bear in mind, I get sent lots of lovely things because I do what I do. I went,
Sure.
this is the best thing anyone has ever sent me because it was crisps. I mean, you can't get a decent bag of crisps here because they don't even call them crisps, they're called chips.
Chips.
And honestly, there's, yeah, you can get Lays, which are Walkers essentially, so they're, there's that. But oh my god, the snacks are what I miss the most.
And the chocolate. Let's talk about the
Oh,
chocolate because I found only one chocolate that tasted like British, which was Three Musketeers. That was
oh,
the only one
that's like a bar. It's like a chocolate bar, isn't it?
it tasted like Milky Way. But I mean, all the rest was
Oh,
kind of like no. And I'd go to the British stores. So, do you find that being out there, like you're flying the flag for us Brits? Do you feel like you're doing that?
I'm trying to, definitely, because we were talking briefly earlier, which is the notion of losing your accent. Now, of course, I act in an American accent because of what I do. So I don't know how many people who just catch me think I'm American anyway and don't
Yeah.
actually know the backstory that I'm not. So I do have to act in an American accent, and I'm regularly having to really. I was doing a Samantha Jones video yesterday, so I was having to sit there all day in Samantha's accent. It's hard when you're doing that to retain your own accent, but it's the desire to retain it, which I have, which is I do not want to lose my accent. And
Yeah.
I'm half Irish, so I can go into a Dublin accent as much as I can go into a British accent easily in and out. I
Yeah.
never want to be someone who just accidentally sounds American, because then I feel like I've just not represented where I'm from. That's really important to me.
I mean, I remember like a lot of people said to me, "Oh, so are you Australian?" And I was like, "No." Oh, are you from New Zealand? I was like, "No." And they said, "Oh, is it
Excuse me.
Scotland? Is it Scotland?" And I'm like, "If you said that to a Scottish person, they'd cut your head off because
Yeah.
my accent is very different to even though I've got Scottish blood and stuff in me, it's not the same." So I was reading about you because in your bio as well, and it was like, tell me about Dawn when she was little. Like, what made you think I'm going to be an actress and I'm going to just like take the world by storm? Because I think when we were young, I wanted to go to drama school. My mum was like, Wendy, you're not going. I can't afford it. So tell me about you in that way.
Well, yeah, so I was always really creative and I was always really dramatic as a child. And I, was always in every school play and I was always just loved it. But I think that when I got to senior school, like most kids, you get bullied and you get kind of like repressed down. And I think that I just lost the guts, I guess, to stand there and do my like plays and stuff. And then it kind of just got pushed to the side. And I remember when I was going into college, thinking, sorry, out of college into university, I remember thinking I'd really like to go to drama school. And it, no one sort of said don't do it, but it just kind of was like, oh, well, what's the point? Because in England, it's like, I feel there's a really strong sense of kids that are on the TV and the soaps now were at drama school were from the age of like dot, right? They were at Sylvia Young, they were there at like 4 or 5 years old. And it felt like really hard at 17, 18 to go, all right, 16, 17, I want to go back into this now. So I remember kind of vetoing it and doing a media business journalism, bit of fashion, it was a mix of media management and fashion degree that I did, which was great. And it did set me up for many different careers that I've had and many different ways that I've diversified. It wasn't a bad thing, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I'd been on the stage when I was a little kid. My mom used to, we used to go to like a rep theatre and act, and I loved it. And I wish it hadn't it did get stamped out of me. Like my family were like super supportive for whatever we wanted to do. It's more like your friends and the environment. And England's tough, right? England's tough. People are tough. And when you're a teenager, school's horrible, like for most people, and it stamps a lot out of kids. And I feel like that happened to me. And if only I could go back and change that decision and go to theatre school then. But I didn't. And it's okay because I was able to come back round to it. And I still, went into an on-screen. Sorry, there's my cat. I still went into an on-screen career as a TV host, and I went into fashion, which, you know, did become more of a passion at the time, and it still is. And so I'm just really lucky that I've been able to blend them all together now. You know, I've been able to circle back around. I just wish I was, you know, like 20 years younger going in to the acting thing. But that being said, why should people be like, you have to be 20 years old? I'm sick to death of women being marginalized in terms of age and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't talk about age because I actually really feel very strongly about this, because I don't think anyone should have to. You can do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. And no one should tell you you can or you can't based on how old you are. And that's why I've, you know, it is what it is. We come to where we are. I'm at this point, and I'm, you know, it's finally all coming together, and I'm making it, and it is at the right time. I believe that everything happens at the right time. You're in the right space at the right time, in the right mindset, and, you know.
I agree with you, because when there is this kind of ageism where women are concerned.
Yes.
And, you know, I was a child of the 70s. So like I've done those decades. And I think that also as you get older, you're very much aware there's so much pressure on women today to look so good. Like literally, you know, if you've got lines or sagging or you know, and at the end of the day, like some of the most amazing actresses, like Helen Mirren, looking at her, for example, has aged, you know, pretty much, you know, on her own. She hasn't had too much work done or whatever. Yeah. She looks awesome. And, you know, she's a character, you know, she's a character actor. She can just do whatever. And that's what I like to see. When you see someone and they've literally, they can't move their face. I was watching Barry Manilow yesterday, God help me, on, bless his heart, on TikTok. He can't even move his top lip.
He's had so much work done.
He's had so much work now that so when he's singing, like he can't actually move.
I fully support. I mean, I very much support plastic surgery, and I was talking about this on my own podcast, strangely enough, last week. I support plastic surgery and I support preservation. However, I am also somebody who believes in there's a balance here. And I personally, I'm quite a natural person. I don't wear tons of makeup. I've always been reasonably natural. And that's, for me, I'm happy to preserve as much as I can, but I never want to look different to me. I still look exactly the same, you know. I actually think I probably look better as I aged. You know, I think I actually did look better. You know, when I look back at pictures of me like in my teens and my 20s, I definitely look better in my 30s. So I'm definitely pro for whatever people want to do, but I think you've got to know where the line is, because like you say, like what's the point of being on camera and everybody's looking at you going, wow, you've had so much done. What's the point? Like if I want to be a great actor, I want to draw people into the world and not have them thinking about what's going on with my face.
There was a few people that I know they were talking about recently in the news. And you know, the Brits, they like to sort of tear people apart.
Yes.
I'm looking at Katie Price, for instance.
Yes. Now that would be a case in point, wouldn't it?
Who has now admitted that she has body dysmorphia?
100%. She has to, because she was absolutely stunning before she started beautiful. Anything.
Yeah, and she realizes now that she's had that. And I think for me, I'm also terrified to have a lot of work done, because you think, what if it changes me? What if I don't like it?
Me too.
And so it's almost like, if I'm a great believer, if you want to have a bit nip and tuck and a bit of this, that, and the other, then do it.
Yeah.
But as you say, don't go too far, because, you know, when you can't move your face, you can't lift your eyebrow, and you can't have that. And so that's why I was watching, I think it was 1928 with Helen Mirren. She's just, you know, you can see her age and she looks beautiful. And what is it that we've come to not appreciate women as they mature? Like, I remember the scene from Sex and the City when Samantha sees that dress and she's like, that's the dress for me. And she's like, are we thinking this is a little too old? And she lies, I don't know. How old do you think I am? She says, I'm 50 fucking 2 and I will rock that dress. And I think women are still having to fight against that, you know. And I know when I was growing up, I was the first one in my family to get a tattoo.
Me too.
my family to just disappear abroad. I was the first one in my family to get married to someone from abroad, and but I was also had, if I wanted my skirt a short or I wanted my boobs on show, I just did it because
Yes.
that's who I am, and I dress for me. And I think if people don't like it, too bad. And I think that's great what you said, that you support women whatever they want to do, right?
Yeah, I think we have to. And I think, one of the things that I suffer with, which is what every content creator suffers with, is trolling. And trolling it's something that's going to send you one way or another.
It
It's
will.
either going to make you like totally, insecure and feel really bad and not want to do your content, or it's going to make you say, fuck you. Why are you tearing other people down?
Yeah.
I don't tear other people down. Do I look at people sometimes walking down the street and think quietly, what the fuck are you wearing? Yes, I do. I'm British. Of course I do. I'm also a
We
fashion
do.
stylist.
Yes.
But would I ever say that out loud? No, I wouldn't. Like, because I'm not that way inclined. I don't want to make people feel bad. In fact, I try to do the opposite. I'll say to someone, oh, your hair looks beautiful, like strangers, or I'll be like,
Me
I
too.
love that outfit, because that can make the difference between someone having a good day and a bad day. And I on social media, I have a lovely, beautiful bunch of followers who are so loyal and so positive and lovely. But when videos go viral, then you get all the nasty trolls, and they say the most ridiculous stuff. And most of the time, thankfully, I know it's not true. I mean, I'm a pretty tiny little woman, and I get called too fat to wear Carrie Bradshaw's clothes. And when I read that, I laugh, because I clearly know as a size 2, that's not true. However, it makes me so sad that there are people who get their kicks, who are make themselves feel bigger and better by doing it. And I
100%.
think, God, what a world we live in. Go and get a hobby. Go and actually
Yeah.
put your energy, all this energy that you're putting into this. Find something you could really make a difference. And that's the thing. It's like, it's usually women tearing women down, like
That's
9 times
true.
out of 10.
That's so true. And it's like I find that amazing that we are struggling still. And the thing is, now life has changed so much. Like when we were growing up, that it was a very, very different world.
It was, yeah.
There wasn't, I mean, the whole trans movement is changing things, as
Yes.
well. And as women, we're still fighting to keep our identities. We're still fighting to be seen as equal up there with
Yeah.
men. We're still fighting to, and it's like, I think that we still are having that battle.
Oh yeah, we haven't moved. In fact, some days I feel like we've gone backwards.
Yeah.
And I think social media has provided a platform to actually to make that backwards movement more momentum, because it provides a platform for the worst kind of people and the best.
Yeah, I
You've got
agree.
these people just trying to, because for the most part, I'm just trying to entertain people and make people smile. I'm just trying to make people laugh. I'm not really looking for anything else out of it. Now, I do understand that, like, you're kind of some of the influencers, and I do watch them, and I'm like, oh my God, like, who watches this? What, you're not doing anything. This is so boring, all the selfies and all that stuff. And I'm like, well, my content isn't about that.
Doing my makeup and
Yeah,
or
my content is just, if I make you laugh and I make you smile and you go, oh, that was really clever, or that was really good, look how she did that, then I've done my job, because that's all I'm trying to do. And it's really not any more deep than that. And I think that the fact that there are people that just they don't care about anything, they just want to tear you down because they feel so rotten about themselves. And I feel sorry for people like that, but it's also just, it's so sad, because we're not moving forward as women when we continue to do that. And one of the things that's always shocked me is it hasn't really been young women for the most part. Whenever I've had a really particularly nasty comment, I always see, just want to know who they are. They're normally like a grandma, or like a 60-year-old woman or something, like your average white woman, 60s. And they usually have something like, be kind always, as their slogan. And
you're
you
like,
read it and you're like,
yeah.
bravo. So I'm endlessly disappointed at how women just don't want to keep the agenda here, which is, let's just keep building each other up. Let's not keep tearing it down.
But maybe you also suffer from jealousy because, you know, it takes a lot of bollocks to actually go out there and put stuff out there, take the
Yeah.
piss out of yourself
Yes.
or whatever. It takes a lot of bollocks to do that. And at the same time, I admire that because at the end of the day, you're like, look, I'm putting out there, you either like it, great. If you don't, you don't. And that's, you know, as I said, I think I've seen women, certainly younger women, you know, that sometimes I listen to them and I'm like, it's like they're from a different breed completely. And
Yeah.
yet women, you know, my age sort of thing, are I think that you know, women are going through this stage in life is like, who am I? Where am I? And that's the thing I brought up with Sex and the City in that quote. You know, the show showed women that they didn't have to take one path; they could actually choose their own motherhood, marriage, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Whatever they wanted to do. And for me, when I watched Sex and the City, I mean, I was when it came on in the 90s. I would have been just coming out my late 20s, going into my early 30s. And I thought, this is brilliant. You know, all of a sudden, there were these girls who just didn't care. And, you know, you could identify in any one of your, you know, a bit of that, a bit of that, a bit of that. But now I watch back Sex and the City and I think to myself, and I still think it's brilliant, don't get me wrong, but Carrie annoys the hell out of me.
Well,
And
that's a
she's
common,
so toxic.
it's funny because I've gone through, I was pretty young when Sex and the City first came out, so I think I missed the first couple of seasons, and then I sort of got into it, and then I went back and rewatched it, obviously. But you know, I've pretty much been with it almost from the start. And I remember being hugely influenced by her. I was, you know, I was a youngish woman and I was really like wanted to be like this woman. And then when I started doing what I do now, which is fully impersonating her and really just becoming her and dressing in her clothes and doing her scenes and stuff, studying her really then turned me like, oh, she's really a pain in the ass. Like, she's a narcissist. She's whatever. Oh, you know, these all these thoughts. And I talk about this on my Instagram. We do a weekly Q&A, and this came up a lot with the And Just Like That sequel because it was really, really magnified then. And then
Oh
I
my
will
God.
say,
Yogurt scene.
yeah, I know that was a whole other kind of like debate. But yeah, I kind of went a bit against her. And I can definitely see the flaws. But now I think I've circled back around again and gone, how incredible was this character who never talked about children and babies and all the horrible things that women are made to feel so much like the clock's ticking, you know, that's something that, you know, you live with every day and you're like, well, I don't want to feel the pressure of that because I'm not ready to do that. I probably never will be. But, you know, the point is you shouldn't be ever feel that pressure from anybody. This was a show that was made 30 years ago that it was never even spoken about. I mean, there was a couple of episodes where it sort of pops up, but it's really like it's a sort of not a big deal. And I think how amazing she was as a role model, because she was just this woman who was making it on her own in New York. She never had any money, but somehow she was scrapping it together. We take aside the fact that she wore all these designer clothes because that was the sort of artifice of it. But, you know, she really was a poster girl for childless, successful women. And, you know, she did get married, which is great. But I almost feel like we didn't need Carrie Bradshaw to get married because she wasn't that type of a character. And so now I've really gone back onto, she was deeply flawed, as we all are. But what an incredible role model in a time when that was not what role models were doing. You know, saying it was fine to not have children, saying it was fine to not get married. And there was, you know, Samantha was the same. Even Miranda, they obviously ended up having her have a baby, which was an interesting choice. But, you know, apart from Charlotte, they were all like that. They were all women who were sort of like, well, you know, take it or leave it, see how it goes. You know, there was no pressure there.
Samantha, for me, was the character that I really gelled with because she was so wise. And now you look back when you're older and you listen to some of the stuff she comes out with and you're like, my God, when she says this is, you know, this is a sign of a good relationship, you know, smiling and not, you know, the frown. And I think to myself, like Kim Cattrall, I mean, I always admired her. I mean, obviously she was in the early Star Trek and then Mannequin. And obviously a good Brit herself, Liverpoolian girl.
Liverpool girl, yeah.
And so I admired her that she took her clothes off on a regular basis. She was having sex the way she wanted it. She just showed.
Phenomenal role model.
I
Phenomenal.
mean, absolutely. And I think there were parts of Charlotte I could, that I've got to meet someone, I've got to marry, and I've got to have children, and he's got to be, because when I was growing up, that was kind of what you got to meet someone, he's got to have to a good job, you're going to have to so I could totally identify with that part. And then there was the Miranda part where she was like the pressure to be successful and be a woman.
Yes.
And I trained as a therapist in my mid to late 20s, and then I went on to work in various fields like rape, domestic violence, murder, all kinds of fields, work in prisons. And as a woman going in, it was still, there was a lot of, you just would feel like, oh, it was different. And now obviously I have this little thing that I do with my classic car, and I turn up in my 67 Chevy Impala, and people go to me, say, is that your car? And I'm like, no, it's me dad's. Women are still having to, to fight to be seen. And so this program came along. And so when And Just Like That came out, I was hopeful.
Well, they undid so much of the good work. And I remember that I did a Q&A every week when it was on, and oh my God, the comments, and even I was just mind blown.
They destroyed it. They got something that was so precious.
Yes.
And then they picked it apart, and all the characters,
everyone, they destroyed everybody,
everyone. And it's
they killed Mr. Big, and that was just like ridiculous. And I know why they did that, and I don't necessarily agree with that either, because I think that was just such a rash decision to kill off a character based on a personal issue that was happening outside. You can't kill off a character that was the antagonist for the entire series, and that was a reflection of the growth of the main character. Just kill him off. Okay, great, let's get Aiden back. Oh, let's completely destroy him, let's make him look like a controlling narcissist. You just destroy it. And then Miranda, don't even talk to me what they did with Miranda.
Oh my God. I mean, Chris North, I mean, he was an awesome actor. And I think he's had a bit of a rough ride since.
He's had a rough ride. And this is always, see, like, we would talk as British people, we would talk openly about this. But actually here, if you talk about Chris North now, you'll get vilified, because people will say, but what did he do? Well, actually, I'll state publicly, he was never charged with anything. So I don't know what he did or what he didn't do. And the point is, neither do you. Like, we don't know. So why are we don't know.
And what happens to innocent before proven guilty?
I know. And at the end of the day, this guy his career has been absolutely trashed. Sarah Jessica Parker and the other girls publicly stated, they didn't want anything to do with him after a sort of 30-year friendship. No one would touch this guy. No one would work with him again. Now, listen, he may well have done what they said he did, and I'm not saying either way, but the point is, he was never charged. There was never anything criminal that actually came out. It was somebody said a statement about him.
Anyone could do that to anyone at any time and ruin their life. And this is what's happening so many times. Like, people were saying things about other people, and the next thing you know, there's a witch hunt going. And I'm
not mob mentality isn't for me, and that's why I'm happy to, and I'm not standing on his side or anything. What I'm saying is that if we just look at it factually, he's continually completely vehemently denied it. Nothing was ever criminal, or there was never any kind of charges or anything. So based on that information, yes, he may have done that thing, but we also have zero proof either way. So I think you have to be so careful. Mob mentality coming for people. This is people's lives, and he has definitely paid for whatever he did or didn't do.
100%. And you know, at the end of the day, this is a man you never heard any scandal from before.
No.
And all of a sudden, you know, this happened. What I liked about his character, I wasn't a Mr. Big fan. I wasn't,
No,
but
I was more Aiden too.
I was Aiden. And but what I liked about his character was that in the end, he got his ass into gear. Normal bloke thing. How many years did it take him to get his
That's
ass into gear?
normal. That is so
And
normal.
go, oh, actually, no, I do love her, and I think I'll go and tell her that she's with another bloke by now, but that's
so
all right.
what?
But so what? I'll just go and find her. And I just thought how typical it was, and I just thought, you know, their dynamics. I never got. This is going to sound bad, but I thought she had better sex with Aiden than she did with Big.
I completely agree. I talk about this a lot on my
Yes.
channels. I think the chemistry
Woo.
with John Corbett was phenomenal. I'm like at the moment actively looking for a masculine man who can act those scenes with me for my social media, and it's really hard to actually find that kind of a man who does the kind of content I do. I want to reenact those scenes because I think the scenes between the two of them were
Yeah.
so much more fire than the scenes with Carrie and Big, which I
Yeah.
don't think that you won't find a lot of people that will share that opinion, because most people are very pro, you know, Carrie and Big. But yeah, the chemistry between the two of them was
You
way.
just knew that,
It was
and also,
there.
do you remember like when he wouldn't sleep with her, and she was like, "Why won't you sleep with me? Why won't you sleep with me? What's wrong with me?" And then he did the bath with
Yeah.
the, and he said, "What's wrong with romance? What's happened to romance?" And I thought that is so you know, dating is a nightmare, and
Awful.
literally you go out there and most men just want to get in your knickers anyway straight away, and you're just like, actually love, you got to get in my head before you get in my bed.
Yeah.
And that's been my saying for years. And with Aiden, he kind of showed that differently. And I picked some photographs to show this because you can see with even with this picture, she's leaning right back into his energy.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you touching?" You know, you can't even see it from this picture. And then I brought up this one, which when I saw this, I honestly thought she was going to shag him on the spot when she saw this picture.
Well, it was immediately brought back, wasn't it? It came back, and you could just see that sort of electricity.
And I was like, "Do it, Carrie, do it."
I know,
like,
yeah, no, there was that little part of us that was like, "Go on, you've done this before. Do it the other way around."
Do it, exactly. Just because she saw him and her heart was like, "Oh my god, oh my god." And I loved John Corbett. I think he's a good-looking guy.
He's gorgeous.
He brought Aiden to life. And he, you know, when she broke his heart for Big, who had fucked her around so many times and had let her down and dated other women and then got married and all that kind of stuff. And she was in such a toxic, and you know, when she went off with the Russian and she said, "We did a new word for over, you know, it's done, you know, we're finished." And I think with John Corbett, and I bought this rather sexy picture of him here. I mean, look at him.
He looks so good, doesn't he? He's aged so well.
Good looking man. I mean, oh, Bo Derek is a lovely lady. That's all I'm saying. She's a lucky, lovely lady.
Yeah, no, he's gorgeous, and he was gorgeous then. I actually didn't love him, the Aiden 1.0. I liked Aiden 2.0. I didn't find him very attractive when he was a bit pudgy with the long hair and the jewelry and stuff. I loved it when he come back in season 4 and he got the short hair and he was all svelte. Oh my god! And I was like, take him.
And then when he came into And Just Like That, I was so angry with what they did to Aiden.
I am still so angry as well.
They
because
destroyed him. They knew that people wanted them back together. They knew they'd waited years to see if that could happen. And then literally wait 5 years. What a load of bollocks that was. I mean,
it was so badly written as well, because here's the thing. I didn't need him to come back into it and for them to get together, because actually I felt it was extremely disrespectful that her husband died, the love of her life, and then she gets back together with Aiden, and I think she says something like, I thought that I loved Big and I thought he was the love of my life, but now I think I was wrong. What? what the fuck? What are you doing to us? Like, no, we've agreed now. The big was the right thing. You've been with him for 20 years. You've had this incredible marriage. We're in it. We're in it with you. He dies, and you immediately go back to the guy that you just dicked around for years. And now you're saying that you didn't really love Big that much. And I'm like, no, like, we're just messing around here with the narrative because I don't think we cared who she ended up with, but we just wanted her to be 100% with that person. And then, then they made Aidan into this awful guy that now people say, oh, well, I always thought that about him. I watched the show back and he was so controlling back in the, well, I don't remember thinking that. I think it now because of how you presented him to us in And Just Like That, but I don't think anyone thought it in the original series. But of course, now people are saying that.
Where she wore the ring round her neck, and you could see the hurt in his eyes. I think a lot of women saw Big and we thought, I've dated him. I've dated him many, many times. I've dated Big, and I know where it's going to lead to because I've dated him. I married him. I lived with him.
Yeah.
Where with Aidan, he's kind of the guy that we've let get away, or that we didn't appreciate first time round, or we were so screwed up about our previous ex that we didn't actually we didn't realize how wonderful he was. And I think for me, what they did is that they brought him back, and she obviously had great sex with him because they've always had a great sex life between them. But I actually think that when I saw her with Mr. Big, and I remember the whole French outfit and how she threw the French fries and everything around, she was always trying to be something more to get to want her. But with Aidan, she didn't have to do that, apart from the smoking. He didn't want that. But I think when I watched And Just Like That, like you were saying, they pulled this beloved character apart and turned him into, and you're still rooting for him. There's, you were left. I still believe somewhere along the line they will return one day and she will eventually get with Aidan. I do believe that, because
I think so. I just don't know whether they destroyed his character to such an extent that it wouldn't make sense for her to go back to him, because then it would send the wrong message about what we accept as women, because they wrote him to be your classic controlling mind games. They kind of wrote him like Jack Berger. How they wrote Jack Berger in the original? They literally wrote Aidan the same way. So now if Carrie was to get back together with him in another iteration of this show, what's that saying? Because now you've made us believe very much that that's who that person is. And that's where I'm really, 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 really hate what they did with it, Just Like That. And I will say what they did to Stanford in And Just Like That is truly unforgivable, because Willie was so loved and so respected, and that's how you're going to do him. Like, that's how you're going to write his story. Or it's utterly ridiculous.
He
and
would
it's
never
such a lack of
do
respect.
He would never do. I don't know the guy, because there's a different writer. I mean, there's was it Michael King who was the original writer?
Michael Patrick King was one of. So there was, when it started, Darren Kelly he was like the creator. So he sort of stepped away from the show around season 3, and this was around the same time that Candice Bushnell also stepped away from the kind of like guiding it, Now Darren Kelly obviously has done some of the biggest TV shows ever made. This guy is a genius, an absolute genius. Candice, it was her book. It was literally hers. The fact that they both walked away from the project tells you there was an issue. There was something that changed. And at that point, Michael Patrick King took over fully in terms of the direction of everything. And he was fully responsible for And Just Like That as well. And I think a lot of people their opinion of him just went down the drain, because the lack of respect to the original storyline is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's like he wanted to destroy it. I listened to the podcast they would do after the show each week.
Yeah.
And, he talks about, like, there was always this thing with Aidan, shall we bring him back? Shall we, the unfinished business. And the thing is, you know, she when he sleeps with his ex-wife, how many people sleep with their exes? Loads sleep with their
Yeah,
exes.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, he took it back. He when he said that, because obviously he was so hard on her when she slept with Big. But
Mm.
I think they ruined the characters, and it was such a shame. For me, I think I was always Team Aiden. I'll always be Team Aiden. And for me, it's like I remember seeing an interview that John Corbett said. He said, I cried when I read what they were going to do at the end with them, because I was so hoping this would be this time round. And he said, this time round. And then I remember listening to the podcast that Michael Patrick said, and he said, this time round. And someone said something in the background like, oh, but we're not going to say about what could happen next. So you don't know, because I don't think they were going to shut this show down at the end.
No,
I think they
no.
had to, because it was getting such a bad, wasn't
Well,
it?
I mean, you know, just before it happened, Sarah Jessica Parker, in her infinite wisdom, was on the Howard Stern podcast and
Oh yeah.
was asked about the jerking off scene in the truck with Aidan, which was the start of the rot for Aidan, wasn't it? Let's face it, that was the start of the rot, because we are in America, and you remember, like, jerking off.
Yeah.
That's like shocking, you know, like we're showing this guy jerking, like, what the hell? And I think that they just, I think, I think it was sort of this idea that Sarah Jessica Parker, this is where I'm coming back around to the Howard Stern. A lot of people started to think that SJP was putting too much of her own personality into Carrie, that Carrie was no longer Carrie anymore, that she changed so much and she becomes so prudish and so like reserved, which is very SJP coded. So
Mm.
in the Howard Stern interview, he says to her, you know, what about the scene where you're on the phone having phone sex? And she's like, oh, I don't know about that. And he says, what do you mean you don't know about it? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's all coquettish. And he says, but you're on the phone with him, like you were the actor who was playing the other person. And she's just like, oh yeah, no, but I don't really remember it. I don't really ever watch the show. And then she said, and he said, wait, you don't watch the show? And she says, no, I didn't watch the original either. And
I know.
in the space of 10 minutes, she was almost cancelled. I mean, the wave of hatred, because first of all, you're trying to make us believe that you are not an actor who sat around a table doing the table read, right? You're trying to tell us that you don't know that he was jerking off in the car, even though you're on the phone playing your other side of it. And
Mm.
then, you know, you're also trying to tell us that you didn't watch the show and you've never watched it because you don't care about it. Like, what does that tell us about how much we love it? What are you
Mm.
saying, like, in terms of? And I think that at that moment, everything just sort of went, and then it was cancelled, you know, weeks
Well,
later.
there's all that reputation as well with Kim Cattrall, wasn't it? About, you know, when she went on to oh, what was it? Oh God, his name I forgot. Piers Morgan show, and she
Yes.
said, you know, Sarah could have been a lot nicer. And you know, when she came back, I thought, good on you, Kim. You're doing it your way. You've got the woman dressing you. You earned so much money for that. You didn't even have to talk to her. You didn't even have to do that.
It was perfect. And, you know, and the thing is with so I know Pat. I'm a friend of Pat Fields, and what was so great was that Pat didn't want to wasn't in the, she just didn't want to do the And Just Like That. She wasn't sort of into doing it. And Kim Cattrall obviously flatly refused to do it. And then when Kim came back for the cameo, brings Pat with her to dress her. And it was such a power move on behalf of Kim to say, I can bring back, because a lot of people, me
Yeah.
included, credit the success of Sex and the City to Patricia Field, because she is the genius behind that show. And I will argue that all day long, that that show would have been nothing without the aesthetics that we got to see, those costumes, those shoes, those bags, those insane get-ups. That's all Pat. That's her magic that she put on. She just sprinkled it on and she made that show. Like, I will tell you for sure that as a fan of it, I'm a fan of the fashion of the show. If you asked me to list my top 5 TV shows of all time, I probably wouldn't include Sex and the City, ironically. If you asked me to list my top 5 fashion TV shows of all time, it would be number one, and there's nothing that touches it.
Mm.
It for me was the fashion, and yes, of course I love the girls, and of course I love the storylines, but it was secondary, and that's because of Patricia Fields. So imagine that Kim comes back and brings this magician back to basically say fuck you, you know, like,
yeah,
it's smart. It's really smart.
And she didn't even, and that must have smarted, I'm sure. So when I remember like reading your comments and people on your page who were watching the show, and I think you and I chatted a couple of times about a Team Aiden, because I remember like, Charlotte, what the hell happened to Charlotte? Literally, I mean, poor ladies. I mean, she's had a lot of work done, and a lot of people. She got a lot of backwash, which is so sad. But you know, I think she felt the pressure to still be, you know, young Charlotte, which because is ridiculous because we all age. And
yeah, that's actually true in terms of her demeanor as well. It was very, you know, excitable, and Charlotte did have that in the original. She had that really fun, excitable quality, but she actually wasn't like that a lot of the time. And then she come into and just like that, and she was a Charlotte on crack. You know, she was 100 times the character, and you know, you still love them. This is the thing. This was which was so hard, is that I love those actors. I believe they're phenomenal actors. But they were, I have to blame the direction and the writing. And I think if I, you know, I would stand by that, is I don't think Kristen became a terrible actress. I think she's a great actress. I think that the crap that they gave her to actually act, the script, and you know, the direction of each scene and the silliness, making her into this clown. And you know, when you look back on the original show, some of the most poignant moments were acted by Kristen. You know, she really did. She had the ability to draw you in, and the sadness. And I really do feel that Charlotte showed that probably more than any other character. So she's not a bad actor. How can she be? So what's different here? The direction, the storyline, the writing. And then in Just Like That, let's make her into a big clown and just make it. It was utterly ridiculous. Miranda becomes a lesbian, and then all of a sudden we've got this stupid narrative about what it means to be gay, which I think a lot of gay people will like.
Cynthia, though, isn't it? I mean, I think Cynthia's taken on a lot. What happened in these characters? Carrie is definitely SJP. Miranda's definitely Cynthia, and then somewhere in between is Charlotte. And I think she took it the hardest from what I've been watching her podcast, and you know. But what I remember is the scene when she had the two children. I think it was in the movie, and she goes and shuts herself away in a cupboard, crying because kids screaming, someone, you know, put hands all over her outfit. And I thought that's so true. That's so true. So many women around the globe can actually relate to that and go, that's what it's like. And she wanted the perfect man. She got him. He wasn't perfect. She then married the not so perfect man and had the happy marriage. And I think Steve, poor old Steve.
I mean, talk about destroying a character. Oh my God. What they did to him, they gave him a lobotomy. I mean, they totally emasculated him. You know, it was just, it was shocking, actually. What they, a lot of people have levied the criticism at MPK, saying that he, as a gay man, sort of deliberately destroyed these strong male figures. Big dies. Aiden becomes what Aiden becomes. Steve becomes this just footnote of a character that you can't even recognize as like the masculine, you know, self-assured guy that he was. And it's like, I can kind of see that there was a sort of deliberate attempt to take down these men, these straight male characters, but by the same token did the same thing to Stanford too.
The one thing that people said over here, that it become too woke, and I think
it did.
100% it did. And I think people,
British people don't like woke.
They don't.
British people don't like woke.
They don't like woke, but I also think they also liked the characters as they were originally, which is why it was a success. And all of a sudden it was like, what the fuck happened here? Because, you know, it would be on the news, you read the newspapers, or you'd go onto social media, and it's like, we don't do woke, we just do us. You know, it's just us. Right, it's either black or white, maybe a tiny bit in the middle gray, but you're black. It's one or the other. And I think that it was so embarrassing in the end watching it from because it was so woke, and in the end
Yeah,
you were just
it
like,
was. It was.
could
It
you
was. It was
actually
like, it's like, let's talk about like black people, and let's
Mhm,
get a hammer and let's hit you over the head about that, and then
mhm.
let's do the same thing with trans, and let's do the same thing with being gay, and let's do the same thing with, and I just was watching it horrified, because it's there. Also, these are supposed to be New Yorkers. We
Yeah,
live in the most liberal community that you can ever imagine. Anything goes here. You can't really live in New York unless you are totally open and have no real biases, because you've got a mix of
yeah.
everybody here. Yeah, and it's wonderful. But how are we supposed to believe that these women have lived in New York for, what, at that point, 40 years, and we're supposed to believe that they are not able to work out how you address people correctly, and how you talk about black people, and how you talk about gay people, and how you talk about trans? That's insane. There's no possible way that you live in New York for 40 years and you don't know how to navigate that. But they portrayed them as these people that needed to be schooled on, the correct new terminology of things. And it's like, that just would not happen where they're from. It just
They
wouldn't
did
happen.
this. The thing is, the BBC, gets a terrible bashing. Doctor Who, everybody knows about Doctor Who, is long running series, completely toned it woke, right? Completely
Yeah,
toned it woke. It was a disaster. It went to Disney, disaster. It was too woke, disaster. And it's like you had it shoved down your throat, and pardon the
right.
pun, you had shoved down your throat. And in the end, you're just kind of like, I can't watch this anymore. There's
Well,
no
because you're being patronized.
there's no
You're being,
story, there's no character. I mean,
yeah.
and that's the thing. What I think, when people say the British aren't woke, we are just down to earth, grounded, and this is what
We're not very judgmental, honestly. Like, we were talking earlier, weren't we, about how we're really sarcastic and we take the piss out of everybody. Yeah, we do. But there's no malice with that. We're not. I actually can honestly say that I didn't understand racism until I moved to America,
yeah.
because it's not a thing. I was not raised like that.
Everybody's here, right? Everybody's here in
Black
the UK.
people in England are British people. Like, that's just the way it is. I never had any thought that anything was different to that. And I came to this stupid country, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to look at people's color before I make a decision about who they are. And it really has irritated the life out of me, because I am so lucky that that was not my experience. I did
Yeah.
not grow, and I am seeing and hearing that racism is a big thing in England now as well. Like, I think I know it's changed, but I can honestly say, when I grew up, it was not a thing. I was never, ever prejudiced against anybody, whether it was by my family or by school or anything. Never a thing. And I lived in a perfect bliss, thinking that everybody was just themselves. Now, I still think that's true, but why am I told constantly by stupid TV programs that you're supposed to address these things? We're British. We're not like that. We don't need to be schooled on being woke, because
I
we just
think
are naturally open.
we have lost a lot of our identity in the last couple of years. I think what it is to be British is we're not allowed to be British anymore
No.
in so many ways. And it's almost like, using this as an example, and this is what I was telling my friends in Canada, because they didn't realize it was so bad. Everywhere you go in Canada and America, they've got their flags up. They're so proud of their
Yeah.
flags.
Yeah.
In Britain, you can't have your British flag up
No.
because that's like, far right. No, it's not. It's the Union Jack, or it's the St. George's Cross. That is our flag. We're entitled to have that, but we're not. We're told to take it
No.
down. And so, at the end of the day, the same as Christmas. Like, we
Not
used to
like the Christmas lights anymore, and I know it's terrible.
Christmas. Where's the Christmas tree? You're not allowed to say this anymore. And people say to me, "What's your pronouns?" I'm like, "Listen, love, it's Wendy, right?"
Yeah, I'm doing. Nice to meet you. That's all I got for you.
I just don't do that at the end of the day. And I think so. We've lost our identity, and Britain is going through, which I think. We have to go through this to come out the other side, because if something doesn't change soon, there's going to be a lot of unrest here.
There's going to be a lot. You can see it. I'm hearing it. I can see it, and it's so disappointing, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We weren't like that.
Yeah.
So why have we allowed like countries like America, I guess, who do have those sorts of issues and have always suffered with them? And let's face it,
Mhm.
it's horrendous here, racism, and it's a real problem here. It's just that we didn't have it, and now we do have it. And it's like, how have we gone from being a great country where we've all grown up? Everyone I know who's British has grown up great, very well rounded, intelligent, not judgmental, not really biased, not, my parents, like all my friends have been gay all my life.
Mhm.
My dad, he comes from, my dad was born in the 48. Like being gay wasn't a thing. But from the moment I was like 16 and I brought my first gay friend home, he just embraced it. He didn't, be weird about it or say, oh, I don't like gay people or anything. Never did. Just took it and just carried on like normal. And that is how my upbringing has been, and everyone around me is like that. But now we've gone backwards. England seems to be going back to a place where it is now issues about all these things, and
Oh,
it's been
it
made an issue because of this wokeness. This idea that if you shove something down people's throats enough, what are they going to do? They're going to go, no, thank you, and go exactly the opposite
That's
direction.
exactly what's happening. And I think that, you can only, I think what it is because London was always a metropolitan of every nature and culture under the sun.
Yeah.
And you'd go to Kilburn and it was full of Irish people. You'd go
Mm.
into Brixton or Tooting or whatever, and you'd have a lot of Asian and Indian people there. Going to Croydon, which is not far from me, and it was very much like Jamaican, etc.
Yeah, very multicultural.
It was.
Absolutely.
And I grew up, and as I said, I grew up in the 70s, and I remembered the days when I was growing up where you would see signs on shops saying, we won't serve white people or we won't serve black people. I remember those days when I was very, very young.
Oh my God.
It was bad, right? And now I look at, my nieces growing up into the world they are today, and it's like, if you go to a country, like I went to Canada and I amalgamated myself in that country.
Mm.
I didn't try to change it in any way. I try to enhance it like
Yeah.
you have with
Yeah.
America. And I think people are coming to Britain. A lot of people are coming to Britain, and they're not blending with us. They're not becoming
Right.
British. They want to come and change things about British. And I was walking down my high street today, and there used to be great stores, Marks and Spencer's, British Home Stores, Dorothy Perkins, and all those shops, and Burton's and all that kind of stuff. And now you've got halal meat and all this, and you're walking down where you go shopping to get your
It's
clothes.
different now.
And
Yeah, it's different.
it's like, this is not Britain. This is not. And I think you have to have a happy medium. And what's happening in that now is that it's becoming like this. And so
Yeah.
everyone who's here is going, hang on a minute, I don't want this anymore. I
Yeah.
want, and so there will be a combustion. There will be. It's a matter of time. And I've said, and I stand by it. I don't think it's long before we have a change of government, and it will be with the initial R, because at the end of the day, the Conservatives have had their term. They did rubbish. Labour has done their turn. They've done rubbish. Liberals have just disappeared. The Greens aren't strong enough.
Where
I
are
think
they?
that way. And I think that, when you watch it from abroad, you must look at home and go, what's happening to my homeland?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because I've so much going on here and there's so much politically going on here that
Yes.
it's actually easier for me to sort of slightly detach from it and kind of be like, well, I don't live there and I don't have to deal with this. And I do also have two nieces who are very little, and I worry about them all the time because of how things are so different now to when I grew up. But I live here and it's a shit show here, and so I'm sick to death of it. And what bothers me is it's feels like it's constantly to keep down the working classes. Now, obviously, I always called myself a working class girl, but here, working class is very different because here, if you say working class here, they think, whoa, because they believe that it's middle class, right? And I understand that. Like, I suppose I'm a working to middle class girl or whatever. But I feel like everything that's being done in back home and here is being done to keep us down. It's being done to keeps their foot on your head and say, you don't get to grow, you don't get to make more money, you don't get to do this. And that really pisses me off as an entrepreneur, as someone who's constantly coming out with these new ideas for businesses that I want to do. I feel that all of this is about money. It's about money and power, like everything is, and it's a way of controlling people, putting you
100%.
back in your box, putting you back in your box and saying, no, we'll tell you what you get to do.
It's getting very much like that, and you might not be here, but you're definitely picking up that vibe. Do you get much work back here, Dawn? Do you come back
No,
much?
I used to. I did. It's funny. When I was actively working as an actor here and I wasn't doing anything else, I did used to come back for like a month or two at a time, and I would do little gigs here and there. Like I did a music video for Universal one time. I did some great just little bits and pieces. But now it's funny because when I come home, I don't do anything. I just, all I want to do is sit in my house with my family, spend time, decompress from this environment, and then come back. So no, I could definitely still work there. I just think I'm just not in. I don't even work as an actor that often here because I do my own content. You see, another example of what I was just talking about is it's the same old industry. It's the same people on every TV show. It's the same actors all the time. It's very hard to break in unless you create your own content and you say, here I am, this is me. Because otherwise you're just turning up to 20 different auditions. You might book them. You do a project, put all your heart and soul into it. It never even gets produced, and it's exhausting. So a few years ago I thought, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to create my own content and actually put a platform out there and then take it from there. So I've sort of stepped back from doing sort of the audition circuit and the whole thing, just because I think there's a better way.
And it's demoralizing as well because you've tried to, you've honed your craft. You spent all those years trying to get where you are, and you're right. I mean, like, it's like there are very few programs and movies made today where it's really original. I mean, they get an old movie, let's just make that again. No, actually don't make it again because you'll do a shit job of it.
There is some, I mean, like The Bear. Did you watch The Bear?
I haven't seen that yet.
So The Bear, I would say, is the one exception to that, in the sense that just phenomenal, so different, so raw and just special. The characters, the story, the acting, phenomenal. But they are few and far between. There's hardly any TV shows that really invoke the Sex in the City, the Friends, those kind of, even things like Lost. I'm a big fan of like Lost. Those were shows that were just huge. Everyone was talking about them.
Are you dead? Are you in purgatory?
We don't know, but everyone wanted to talk about it because everyone in the world was talking about these shows. Friends, I'm a huge Friends fan, huge. My favorite TV show of all time. I mean, everyone in the world was watching that show. Everybody loved it. We don't have TV shows like that anymore. We just don't.
Well, I think that's the thing about the Brits. You look back at some of our shows that we done. They were. I mean, I grew up in the time when Dick Emery and Benny Hill and those were the Love Thy Neighbor. They were all great comedies that people didn't think anything of at the time, didn't worry about it. And then you go into dramas, as you get older, and then EastEnders and Coronation Street and these ones that. And I stopped watching EastEnders years ago.
Me too. Oh my God, me too.
Because it's like, how many times can we dig this person out and do the whole script again? And the same with Coronation Street, exactly the same.
I haven't watched that in I think that was the first one to go for me. I was like, I can't watch this piff. I loved Emmerdale for the longest time because I felt like it was the one soap that got sexy. It got sexy, and it was exciting, and there were the storylines like were capturing me as a kind of a young woman. Whereas the other ones, I'm like, well, I'm not 65. I'm 20. I don't want to listen to these old women sitting around the pub. Now, I'm not being derogatory about them being old women, but they weren't. I need something from you. I just don't want to hear you're kind of like, oh, and it's like so boring and so like doldrums of like working class England, like so everything's so crap all the time, everything's so depressing. No, I no, thank you. I want like some
Like
crazy
that.
thing.
And Corey and EastEnders all became woke too, because like they'd have all
Oh
these,
yeah,
and you're just like, I can't watch this anymore. Like I remember the days when you're not my mother. Yes, I am. Like I
incredible.
remember that, like those, and the Angie and Den.
Oh,
This
Angie and Den. I was only little, but oh my God, I thought Angie Watts was the most beautiful woman in the world at the
I
time.
watched that at Christmas time, and I think it was around 86, or maybe a bit, and he was like, "This, my love," or whatever. He was awesome, and so I grew up with those. And Joan Collins, I mean,
Oh,
Dynasty in Dallas.
I loved Dynasty. Loved
Oh,
it.
Joan Collins was an inspiration to me. She taught me how to do makeup, that's for sure. Donna Mills, Knots Landing. These women were just awesome. And
Yeah.
I think that looking at women now, where is a role model, really? A role model, British female role
Well,
model?
yeah, it's hard now, isn't it? Because, and I'm not even sure that there's enough here in America that are real, like
No.
real big role models. I don't know. Like, I struggle. I just don't have those pop culture icons
Mm.
anymore. My pop culture icons are the old ones. They're the ones like we were just talking about. That's what my podcast I did. I decided to do that because I wanted to talk about all the amazing stuff that had happened when stuff was good. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not good now. Like I'm just not really ever moved by anything, and I really miss being moved by stuff.
I'm going to bring up some of your content, because obviously let's bring that in, because now how I discovered is that I'm going to bring the original and then your version. I mean, I picked up some of my favorites. Obviously, this is one of my favorite scenes. Like
It's my favorite. It's my
it's like,
absolute
and
favorite.
you can put on use a speed stick. It's just so
And you're
awesome.
shooing dog.
And it's like, this is when you looked at her and you just wanted to slap her and go, shut the fuck up, Carrie,
Yeah,
because like she was like so mean. And you can just see in this image, just in this picture that I've got of her, she's like really pissed. And so you your lovely content is that you've actually got the clothes, haven't you?
yeah. So I'm like a double threat in this sense because I'm an archival fashion collector. So I own a very large portion of the original wardrobe pieces. So I have the fashion, but I also act the scenes as well. So it's kind of a bit of both. Sometimes I just do the outfit recreations, and sometimes it's the scene as well.
And obviously, like, look at the detail. I mean, the thing, the little bandana on here.
Everything. I have to do that. That's the original skirt, actually. It's by Patricia Field.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then did you see the Boy George visor? The Colton
Yeah.
glove.
And the pineapple. Tell me about the pineapple.
Oh, it's the Schnapple. So she's carrying a Schnapple, which obviously is such an American, it feels like such an American drink. And so, yeah, so she's, I'm just looking. So, yeah, there was quite a few elements to this outfit, actually. And then she's got the necklace, the heart necklace. She's got the
Mm.
scarf around the bicep, which is such a cool look. And then she's got that really not old fashioned, girly ponytail where you've got like the bobbles, like three
Yeah.
bobbles down the ponytail.
I don't think you can see it here in this one. Can
You
you?
can't know. I have to do every single detail. It has to be every detail.
Yeah. And you did it so well. And that was such a great scene, because she's like, and you're like, in when you're doing it, you're like, you can see you're really enjoying it. You are so
Yeah, I
enjoying it.
love that. I want to do that one. I want to and that's the one I want to get a really good Aiden actor to do with me, because I do them on my own. It's actually incredibly technically difficult. So I act the scene without any prompts. So I have to get myself into the argument without there being an argument, and then I chop in the other person's lines. So it's actually technically so much harder what I do than it would be to have another actor screaming at me, because then you are able to react like off them. What I do is definitely more difficult because I'm trying to recreate it on my own.
Now
But I think
that outfit you're wearing, how much is that worth, that outfit?
This one, well, this one's actually pretty low lift because the skirt was Patricia Fields. So, you know, like at the time, it probably was like $50.
Mm.
The little bandeau top. I actually don't have the original bandeau. It's identical, but I never. I think again, this was probably one of the outfits that was on the cheaper
Mm.
side of things because everything she's wearing is just like essentially basics. You know what I mean? So this would not be an expensive outfit. She had like a nice bag and nice shoes on, but overall, this is one of her more like low key, very easy to kind of get this. You could kind of recreate this.
Now, everyone remembers this scene where, you know, she had a pair of knickers on,
Yes, with
and
crystal pants.
she thought, you know, that I was gonna, you know, I'm gonna wear something else, and they bring in the pants. I loved this outfit on her. I love the blue.
Oh, it's Dolce and Gabbana, and it's heaven.
And it's just so. I mean, she looks awesome. And then here we have yourself, the real. I mean, that is what a beautiful jacket that is.
Yeah, I was so lucky to find that jacket. It's obviously the Dolce and Gabbana. It's the same jacket. I actually got it from Bonham's auction house. One of my followers, which is so lucky that people do this, sent me the link and said, Dawn, the coat is coming up for auction. I was like, oh, I'll never get it. Like it'll go crazy. You know, people will bid up. And actually, it was only one person bidding against me. And I was on a subway train as the auction was on. And it was one of these really annoying auctions where when somebody bids, it resets the clock by 5 minutes or something crazy like 2 minutes. And so I had to get on the train to go to work. And I placed my final bid as we went into the tunnel under the Brooklyn Bridge. And so I didn't know until I got off, like until we got out of the tunnel, if I'd won it or not.
So is this the original coat?
So it's not the one she wore, but it's
Right.
the original coat. So you've got two. So in terms of what I do, you've got screen worn and
Yeah.
production matched,
Yeah.
which production match means it's identical. It's Dolce and Gabbana. It's the exact color, cut, everything. It's just not the one that she physically wore in the scene. So no, this is the same coat, but not hers.
And I mean, I bet it, you know, I bet it feels gorgeous because it's so
Oh,
soft.
it's stunning. Like it's the most gorgeous coat.
I love it. So, and then we come up because I picked some of my favorites here, and I was like, so remember this one?
Oh, one of the best. One of the best. Vivian Westwood.
The bunny skirt, right?
Yeah, so she's wearing Vivian Westwood from the late 90s, sorry, the late 80s, and then she's wearing a J. Crew shirt.
It's gorgeous. I mean,
How funny is that though? Like you've got Vivian Westwood and then J. Crew. Like that's Pat Field, you
such a
see.
pretty outfit, though. I remember when I saw it, I thought the green is so striking, and then
Yeah.
she turns around and she got this little bunny thing, and you're like, I didn't expect that. And she's got a little, is it like her horseshoe necklace on
Yes,
this?
so in that season, which was season 4, she'd started wearing the Mia and Lizzie crystal diamond horseshoe necklaces. So that was kind of that era. Now I had to, so I have the original bag, I have the J. Crew shirt, but I had to make the skirt myself because nobody has ever seen this skirt.
Oh.
It doesn't exist as far as, I mean, it must have existed. It may well be in SJP's collection because she obviously owns a lot of it. But no one's actually ever seen it for sale, or so it's entirely possible there was only ever one made.
That's awesome. I loved this outfit. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
And then obviously let's bring this up. This was the naked dress, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when she was getting ready for the day and we were watching this and they were like, what do you think of this dress? And they were like, it's perfect. And because
it's tits and toes, baby, but you make it work.
It's like literally, and also the coat. I never liked that coat. Never.
Well, I actually see this was a coat that was kind of similar. I've done it again since then. I actually managed to find, because I don't wear fur. I'm very anti-fur. So that's where me and Carrie sort of differ. But I actually managed last year to find an exact copy of her fur coat, but in faux fur. and it's identical. There's an unboxing on my Instagram with it. So I have recreated this again with the coat it's identical. And the coat was actually one of the most popular wardrobe items on the show. People absolutely love it.
I never liked it, but I thought the dress was spectacular.
I mean, it's like, I mean, I think it's crazy because you would never go to a Chinese restaurant wearing that dress. I mean, everything is just hanging out of that. There's nothing. You're wearing
Did you
nothing
actually
underneath.
wear this walking down the street?
Yeah, but I usually do them right, like close to my house. So like I live in Brooklyn, and I think people see me going, "Oh, there she goes again!" Like in one
The
of those
mad
crazy
British
outfits.
woman. Yeah.
I did, but honestly, it's completely backless, so it goes all the way down to your crack, and
Mm.
so you can't wear any underwear, no bra, you can't wear any pants with it, so you are totally naked. It is truly a naked dress.
And here's the coat again. This is the scene where Big calls her and she says, "John," it says John, and she's wearing this, and that's the original coat that we're talking about, isn't it? That's the one.
Yeah, and then if you've got the most recent one I did, I'm actually wearing the faux fur the version, which I mean, this is perfect. This is recent. That's the same. It's identical, except that it's faux, and I love so much that I was able to find a faux version of that.
And tell me about the skirt, because if we see it in this picture here, tell me about the skirt. What is that detail on there?
So it's actually Prada, and it's a dress. So it's Prada, and it has like a feather print, I would say. It's like an ombre feather print. Really beautiful and super iconic. And if you look at the composition of that outfit, there is so much going on.
There is.
I mean, she has the Prada dress, then she has a little teal cardigan over the top of it, which is then belted around both of them. She's got that bright pink silk scarf. She's got the coat, she's got the carry necklace, she's got the flip phone, she's got the Fendi bag, she's got the red shoes, and then she's carrying the Manolo Blahnik bag. I mean, this is a hell of a lot thrown into one outfit.
Do you find it when you're walking down the street and, obviously people knew the show and people say to you, "Oh, people talk to you." What sort of feedback?
Funnily enough, this is the outfit that happens most in. So I've done it before a few times before I got this coat, and I'd done it near my house, and I was walking to film it and heard people saying, "That's Carrie," like sort of not saying it to me, but I heard people recognizing it. When I did this, I actually filmed it in the exact location that Carrie is walking in the original show. It's outside Bergdorf Goodman, and I literally had people running up to me being like, "Oh my God, you're Carrie Bradshaw." And I think it's this outfit. I think it's so distinctive that no one doesn't know this outfit.
Now, one of my other favorites ones I'm just going to bring up here, and it wasn't Carrie this time, but it was Samantha.
Oh, this is recent. Yeah, I'm actually going to get Julian to do this scene with me next week. I'm going to do the scene.
Do you have the earrings?
Yes, I'm wearing the earrings in this. I have the original. So it's John Galliano for Dior earrings and belts, and I own both of the original pieces. And then it's a Celine dress, which I also own. The only thing I don't have is the Celine leather coat, so I just kind of use like something similar. But it's fabulous. Everybody loves it.
I just want those earrings so badly.
And the thing is, like they're a pair, but I'm only probably going to ever wear one because I feel like the way she wore just the one earring was so much more iconic.
She had some amazing outfits.
Well, I mean, the woman has the body to die for.
The red dress. Remember that she was walking down the road in the red dress.
Mr. Coffee, yeah. Oh, that's iconic.
But when you did this, I was like, I'm so thrilled you did this one because it's so pretty. So pretty.
I'm gonna do it again because this one was just like in the house and it was just more like a little quick. I'm gonna actually do the whole scene of that one because I think it deserves like a proper movie-esque. She's walking in the bar, she picks up the drink and she throws it.
Dirty martini, dirty bastard.
Dirty bastard. Yeah.
And then I love the fact this was my favorite outfit that she wore in.
She looks so good in this. I think it was my favorite out of and Just Like That as well.
And tell me about this dress because I love it.
So this one is the oh my God, why is it escaping me the name of the dress now? It is Australian designer. It'll come back to me in a minute. Amazing Australian designer, and it's kind of all covered in crystals, and it has these huge huge shoulders. And it's honestly one of the most flattering dresses. They did, if you notice, they did hem hers. It's actually shorter on Carrie than it is on me. I think that's a weird choice. Personally, I think the longer is sexier. I like that. So I'm not messing with mine at all. But yeah, that's a phenomenal dress. It's so flattering, but you have to pour yourself into it. And I'm wearing the same size that she was wearing as well. It's 0. It's insane.
I mean, that dress, I'd love it. I mean, but you're, as you said, you've got to either wear lots of Bridget Jones underneath it, like Bridget Jones pants, to get in it,
You
because
are like, I mean, you wouldn't be able to sit down in it very comfortably if you wore it in, like I wore it in a tiny size because I really wanted to get that sort of silhouette. It's very structured. I think, I mean, I want to wear this for an event or something, but I mean, I can't imagine an event where I won't need to be, because you'd be quite hot in it as well, because it's quite a lot of fabric, and it's so structured that you couldn't sit down. So it's almost like, when will I ever wear this dress? But it is so phenomenal.
exactly. Now I'm bringing up a picture of you and Julian Sewell, because like he is a comedian from New Zealand.
Yes.
You can all find him on YouTube and TikTok. He is brilliant at what he does.
Yes.
Cracks me up. Aunt Ingrid is my favorite piece that he does.
Yeah.
That's my favorite when he does the old English. I love it. But he's actually being Samantha here.
Yeah.
In
He hates this because he didn't want to wear. We were out by Flatiron and he didn't want to wear a skirt and heels, so he wore his jeans and trainers. And he hates this one because he's like, I should have wore the leopard skirt. And I'm like, yes, this is the thing. When you're recreating, you have to like fully commit to it. And like, and it's still a fantastic scene, but it's like people appreciate the outfits as much as they do the scene. It's kind of like a 50-50.
And when you're doing this and you're filming this, do you guys get a lot of attention when you're doing it together?
To be honest, we haven't done many outside because there's a lot of elements in filming in New York that's quite difficult to control, like the noise and the sound and stuff. So a lot of the ones that we do tend to be in the house now, which is so good because you can really control everything. But yeah, I mean, we definitely get people coming up to us and being like, because obviously as well, you get recognized living in New York and people kind of know your content. And so, I'll be out in a Carrie outfit and people are like, oh, I follow you, I love your stuff. And Julian, obviously, with such a big following, definitely gets that a lot.
Yeah, he's really good when he does. I've been following him for a while. As I said, the English stuff he's got down to a fine art. If you had to pick your favorite top 3, now you may have done this, I don't know, but if you had to pick your top 3, there's you can only grab 3. You cannot take any more. Which ones would you take?
Of the ones that I own, or just the whole wardrobe?
The ones you own.
So it's pretty easy actually. So my favorite piece of all is Roberto Cavalli. It's a silk fringed shirt that she wears with a painted pair of jeans, and it's the scene where her and Miranda bump into Steve and Aidan with their new girlfriends and they hide in the doorway. That is my favorite piece. I don't know why I love it so much. I think it's really special because one of my followers she's Cecilia. She's from Rome, and she actually texted me and said, I'm in a vintage store and I just found this shirt, and she bought it and shipped it to me. And I was just so in awe that someone could just be so incredible. And I was like, I'm paying you, I'm sending you the money. But that's like, most people, certainly no one in America would ever do that because they don't have that desire to help people and to do something nice, which is a bit of a sweeping statement, but it's unfortunately true. And a European, just didn't think twice. She was thinking, Dawn will love this. I have to get this thing for her. So I think that's why I love that one so much. That's definitely the one. And then I'd probably say the patchwork coat. I don't think the patchwork coat, I mean, like, it's so iconic, and it was one of the only items in the show that was worn more than once. Most items were only ever seen one time, and so it was shown 3 times, and it was Pat Field's
She was
own
wearing
coat.
that when she met Aidan, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's right. It was very Aidan coded. The whole, I think all of the episodes are she wears it before she meets him, and then 2 episodes with him. But That one I think is definitely my second, and then probably I'd have to say the Donna Karen, which is the chicken dance episode where she's at the. Oh, sorry, what's my cat doing? Sorry, we've got an interloper in the back here.
Okay.
The Donna Karen sequin nude dress that she wears to the wedding with Big with the shredded skirt.
Yeah.
It's so rare and it's such a piece of fashion history, and it's just impossible. No one has it, so that I'd probably have to say that, but it would be very hard because I have so many incredible things from the show.
When they said they did very different endings to Sex and the City. One was that she stayed with the Russian, one was, she was on her own, one when she was with Big. And I remember when she got with I've forgotten his name now in it, not Mikhail, but his character.
Alexander.
She couldn't pronounce it, and he kept saying to her, meet me at 2 or 3 and whatever Alexander. But I think looking back at that show, it changed my life.
Mine too, definitely. It changed the trajectory of everything.
Women, I say to girls now, you need to watch that show because it will change your life, because you'll identify with one of the women, you'll see what they're going through, and you'll go, look, that's pretty similar in my book. And I think that the criminal thing about And Just Like That was the fact that women who were so keen on the first show were so hoping that this would be the older version of Sex and the City.
Which was also needed, because we need those female older role models as well. And then unfortunately I feel like we didn't get that.
Tell me about that tattoo. It's gorgeous on your arm. The one you have.
This one or this one? Oh, so this is my dog Coco, who I lost a long time ago, and so I have him, so he's always by my side.
Oh my goodness. I lost my boy, and I want to have his his little face done.
Sorry, well. There's literally nothing worse in the world than losing. Well, I think any animal. I'm obviously a huge animal lover, but losing my dog.
Yes, I was reading that in your bio, because you are a big animal rescuer and volunteering as well.
Yeah, I tried to do a lot when I've been in New York, and I worked in dog rescue, and then I worked in cat rescue for years, and I have 2 rescue cats. I just really prefer the company of animals to people, honestly, and because I live in New York, there's a load of absolute trash people here, so I'm always quite happy to get through my door, see the cats, and just chill out. And I mean, it's weird, you live in New York, you think you're out all the time, you're just not. We're all just happy to come into our home, into our safe little environment, and just chill out.
I agree with you, because I was going to ask you, are you single, Dawn?
Yeah,
how are you finding life in New York single?
Well, it's interesting. You have to be a very, very strong woman. You have to be extremely strong, because whether it's like the maintenance type of stuff that you end up doing. New York's old. Apartments are old. When it gets hot, you've got to carry your air conditioning unit, which weighs like 2 ton, and put it onto your window and screw it in and do the whole thing. I've been doing the craziest stuff here alone for years. I moved myself multiple times in a van. You just have to be a really, really strong woman. And honestly, dating here is bullshit. I hear that it was so much more fun in the Carrie Bradshaw days, and I believe that's true. It is not fun here. I would say 80% of the population are in marriages or serious relationships, and the reason is because people can't afford to live on their own, so they just hook up with people. And then, whereas they probably in England, I mean, people live together for 15 years and they never get proposed to. Here, people propose to people after 6 months or a year so that they can share the cost of living. It's bizarre. Wow. I never realized until I came here that was going to be the way it was going to be at all. It's so strange. It is not a city full of single people. It is not a city full of daters. It is a city full of couples. Couples, basically.
Yeah, and you're right, because dating as a single woman in New York or in London, whatever, I find that so many people are, they swipe on you and you think, well, they like you, they're going to talk to you. No, No, what'll happen is they'll swipe on you and then they'll just stay there and they might say the odd word and then it just disappear. Or they'll ask for your number and then it just disappear. Or, and it's just, it leaves you to the point, what is the fucking point anymore?
Yeah. Totally.
I've been single for quite a long time through personal choice.
Me too. 100%.
And also the dog and the cat, I go to bed at night. I like my bed. It's great. And the dog and cat are brilliant. But there are times I think it would be lovely to have somebody special to share my life with. But and I don't mean this, rudely, but finding a guy who's consistent, who's a communicator, and who's actually you have a connection with, rare, very rare.
I think as well, it's we're not there anymore. I think that, my friends that got married at 21, 22 and are still happily married now, that was the time before social media, and that was the time, well, not before it, but, it wasn't really a thing, it was a bit of Facebook and that was kind of it. Now we're in a world where the ability to cheat is so much more accessible. I mean, think about it. When I was younger, I used to have to go to the phone box to phone a guy that you'd met in a club.
Get a phone card.
Yeah, they were, he'd phone your house phone, your mom would answer, and then, totally innocent time. Cheating was hard to do. It's actually hard to cheat. The only way people cheated was if they went to a club without their partner and ended up kissing a girl. Now you can cheat so easily, and women are I think women are really bad in this respect too, in that they are more than happy to take people away from partners, and I think people are just desperate, and it's like, no, everyone's fair game. And so you meet a nice man who might be gorgeous, and you can safely assume that he's getting DMs from God knows how many women. And I've just always been someone who's so loyal. I don't want to fuck with it anymore, because I'm just not into it. And I live here in New York. It is a city full of the most flaky people. The men you meet here are flaky. You might have a fabulous date with one and you think, oh, this is great, and then you never hear from them again, and you're left going, but why? And you genuinely know it was a great date from both sides. They are just overwhelmed with choice, overwhelmed with
the same here. It's the same. Bumble, Hinge, etc.
Too much, too easy.
What was it? Plenty of fucks. That's what literally there are. So what makes me laugh is that you get a dating site and you have like, I don't know, hundreds of people wanting to see you, and you think, okay, I've got like 200-300 to go through, and you go through and you're like, left, maybe right, left, and then the ones that are right, you think, okay, well, you liked me, so I'm going to talk to you, and you go, hello, how are you, nice to match with you, silence. Or you just don't hear from them. What's the fucking point?
No, there's no point. It's like that here. It's like I did used to date. Like when I first got here, I did give it a good whirl for a few years. And honestly, some of the scenarios that I got into were just, you couldn't make them up. And one of the things here is that American men, and this is a sweeping statement, I'm sure I'll get vilified for, but they are extremely what's the word? Like messed up. I don't know whether they're moms. I think it's their moms here. Like a lot of boys here are completely coddled by their overbearing mothers, and they're just spoiled, they're just completely spoiled, and they act like children, and you kind of like, they just seem like they're not emotionally mature. And I think that they have like a host of like emotional mature issues that spill over into sexual problems too, which I'm just, from what I hear, from what I've kind of like dated and stuff, I feel like I don't want anything to do with this. I want a real man. I'm looking for an Aiden, or even a Big. I'm looking for a proper man, a man who is secure in himself and is able to take care of a woman without smothering her and trying to control her, but be your own person.
And someone who's got their shit together, knows what they want and goes for it, because that's very sexy, right? If you've got a guy who's like, I'm in an R-in and maybe, or there's an ex around. I mean, everyone's got an ex, but when they still, and if they're not over their ex, if they're not over it, because there's social medias everywhere these days, and you know it. To meet someone who's actually got their shit together, moved on from their ex, is in a good place and is grounded and is ready to have a relationship, one in probably thousands.
It certainly won't happen in a city like New York where it's just date, 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 date. So like no one's ever getting over anybody because they're straight out to the next thing. So no, I don't personally want any part of it anymore. I've dated many people. I've had amazing relationships. I've lived all around the world and had relationships with men that have been in different countries and so on. It's been great. Like I don't regret any of it. I am okay not to get involved with that while I'm trying to build something bigger for myself, because
Sure.
ultimately I only want to be able to look after myself. Great, I'd love a man who comes in and can take care of me, but I need to have the money in the bank for myself and my own house and everything. Always been like this, always. I bought my house in England when I was 21 years old.
But
I
you are encouraged in Britain to
you
be,
are
as a woman, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
no
Keep your money separate.
yes.
Be independent. And you know what? You probably know, I've been there where we've been in relationships where you're on tiptoes, you're frightened to say anything, the eggshells, and
Oh
then
God, yeah, I've lived that so many times.
been there, done it, ticked it off, and it's like to actually meet someone that you can be
Equal.
equals. And the fact is, you've both had a past, you've both been there and done it. You don't need to drag it up, but you're both ready to move on and leave it behind, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's so. I understand, and that's one of the reasons why people say, And the thing I don't know about you, Dawn, but I find that as I get older, I less want to date, and I do want to date,
Yeah.
but I
I
less
don't
want to.
I'm not interested in it because it's basically like the same thing as like auditioning for acting jobs. You are basically asking someone to judge you, and you're basically asking someone to either accept you or to reject you. And that's just not something I'm really interested in doing. Now, look, I'm happy if, along the way, I organically meet somebody. Great. I'm not putting myself up to be debated on as the merits of me. No, like if you get to know me and you decide that I'm someone that you would really see yourself with, amazing, I'm down for it. I'm not giving people the opportunity to absolutely
But
not.
I also find that men, as we get older, because I think I'm a little bit older than you, but it's like if you're an independent woman and you're quite strong characters, because we've had to be, because we've
Yeah.
been on our own for so long, we've had to be, and you've had to cope with so much, so it makes you strong. They find you intimidating, or
Oh,
they,
I've been intimidating people my entire life. Yeah, no, I find it really now men have become so metrosexual, which is another symptom of the woke thing, I guess. They've
oh,
become so metrosexual that it's actually really hard to find
yeah,
your real masculine guys. And there's a fine line, because I'm sure there's loads of
yeah,
masculine guys in America, but they're probably also those really freaking controlling, like my man way, kind of thing. I don't want that either. I'm looking for a good balance, but I'm essentially looking for someone who is very, very comfortable with themselves, that they
grounded.
don't feel the need to control you or diminish you or make you smaller. They're actually
And
glad
is
that
grounded and
yeah.
knows what they want, and actually walks the walk as well as talks the talk. And I remember like dating someone, lovely guy, got on really well. And I remember like before he went to bed, there was the whole routine. There was like, the silk kimono, the
Oh,
face
good God.
mask, the cream and everything. And I was just like, look, love, I've got the Olay. Don't get me wrong, I've got the Olay here and everything. And it just made, and don't get me wrong, he's a beautiful guy, well dressed and everything. But you just, yeah, no, it was just no.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what I mean. You know where I'm coming from.
I really do. And so no, I'm a really strong supporter of just women being totally fine with being on their own. And if you create something with that time and space, I think if you do nothing, what's the point? You might as well be in some stupid relationship. If you are going to be single for a long period of time by choice, then use that time to grow, to develop, to do the projects that you always wanted to do. Do something with the time. This is what I do. I'm so more productive now. Whenever I was in relationships with stupid boys who, you spend half your time trying to figure out what the fuck they're doing. And I wasn't focusing on what I should have been doing. And then when you take that away, wow, you can get so much more done. You can really get a
And I
lot
think there's
done. So
That's why Samantha was so wise that she would like enjoy them and then put them back.
which is
And you're
really
right.
smart.
And I want you to come on to, because is your podcast. I'm going to bring up the little ad for it, because I started Wicked Women about 3 years, almost 3 years ago, because I wanted to do a podcast that was by women, for women, and then guys could join in, of which they do. But it's I see that with your one as well. It's like you're just as you are here. You're no different. You're very and well out there. And I'm just trying to bring up the picture. Here we go. The iconic, icons edit. I mean, look at that skirt and
the Prada outfit. Yeah, I love nostalgia. Obviously, of course I do, with what I do on social media. And I just wanted to do a podcast where I talked about nostalgia and talked about, so we do all sorts of stuff. Of course there's been a few episodes about Sex in the City, of course. We've talked about Friends, we've talked about America's Next Top Model, we've talked about the supermodels, like it's all those things that, as a child growing up through the 90s and early 2000s and so on, that's kind of like what I like talking about. And so that's what the podcast is. And it's just and Julian, who's Julian's young, he's only like he's 30, he just turned 30.
Wow.
And so he's actually he can't really firsthand reference the 90s, but he's just, obviously, as you can see from his content, so inspired by 80s.
And also, when a lot of younger guys want to date older women, and you're thinking, yeah, but I remember this song the first time round, and like now you're going, oh, this song's really good, and you're just like, I was there. Like I was one of those people that used to like tape the a Radio 1's number one.
Oh my god, tape it.
And you were like, Mum, Dad, don't come in, whatever you do, don't come in,
because the sound would pick everything.
How could you? And you'd run down the store to buy the single, at
Woolworths.
I know, and the pick and mix. And it's like, I think that you and I, and that's why I really gelled when I saw your work, and I thought that you reminded me a lot of myself, but also I love the work that you do. I love the energy you put out. You're very down to earth. You're very British, and like me, you say it as it is. And that's the one thing I would always want people to, and people have said about me, what you see is what you get. I'm very, very grounded, down to earth, authentic, and I will call a spade a spade. What star sign are you, Dawn?
Virgo.
I see I'm a Capricorn.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Sign. Right, Earth sign. So you get, again, I mean, because you probably don't know this about me, but I'm actually a clairvoyant and tarot and psychic and all that.
That's so interesting, because so I'm kind of psychic, as in I'm definitely never, I'm not good at it. So I can only have this conversation with someone else who understands this, because most people are like, what are you talking about? They don't believe in it. But I just was someone that I think probably if someone had helped me to figure it out, I would have been able to. Maybe we should just say I'm super intuitive, but I tend to know the deal in ways that people are like, how did you know? Like, I've always known everything. I've been so like, yes, I've always said, like, I'm not psychic, but I'm kind of psychic. Like, I have certain abilities I just don't have. I'm a massive, like, big into all of that. I'm very spiritual. I'm kind of very in tune with all of, and I think people here find that kind of really crazy as well. So I don't really talk about it that often. But
what it wasn't like in Alberta for me, like they are so open-minded and so into it. Like everywhere you go, there's a little psychic store, and someone's doing readings. So as a kid, it happened. It's how it began with me. The women in my family have all had the gift passed down.
Amazing.
And we have the most shittiest relationships ever, though, because when someone's lying to you,
This is the stuff that I found out. It's so ridiculous, and people have gone, how did you figure how? And I just was like, it's like I don't get a vision or something, but it's like it comes to me, like and all of a sudden this thing that's so like discombobulated, it's not even like there's a natural progression to it, drops into my head, and then I know. And it's the thing, and so I feel you. We can't have normal relationships because people can't get away with shit.
And you and it ruins the relationship for you because
Yeah.
you're like, oh God, no.
I know what people think about me. That's a tough one. I can read people. I can read whether I'm reading their mind. Not really. It's more like I'm reading them. Nuances of behavior, every little inflection. I'm an empath, so my whole life has been hard because I can feel immediately if someone doesn't like me. I can feel immediately if someone's thinking a certain thing. It's all there. I feel it, and it's a really tough. It's very tough to be in a relationship with both of those qualities.
And I think as a clairvoyant, I mean, when I started, I was clairaudient. I heard, and then I had to get it shut down. I'm so young, it freaked me out. And when I opened up again, you never the same. I was clairsentient, which means I feel and I sense.
Right.
And then I love the tarot. The tarot is telling the story of someone's life. It's a story. And for me, my faith, it's very different to that. I'm spiritual, not religious, but I love the tarot because the tarot it's a way of telling. You open up the book of someone's life, and I think that was one of the things I don't think I ever saw in Sex and the City. Actually, was anything psychic or spooky like that.
And it's interesting because I think a lot of big shows in popular culture did touch on that. It was somewhere in the storyline it came in. I mean, I'm a big fan of the TV show The Mentalist. Did you ever watch The Mentalist? One of my favorite. That obviously was about that kind of slight medium, but that did come in a lot to that storyline. But yeah, I don't think they ever touched on that. Oh no, they did. Charlotte goes to that tarot card reader and she's like, I do not see marriage in your future. And she's like, what? Yeah, no. And I love that scene because
read my hand again, bitch.
Yeah. She's like, I do not see this. It's such
you
a
can't
good
read
scene.
for yourself. You really can't. I can never read for myself. I can only read for other people. And some of the clients I've had, they come back time and time again. But I'm always like, don't tell me what's happened. I don't want to know.
No, that's not the point. The point is to figure it out.
So very much when I was looking at your stuff, I think you just get drawn to people that you think, yeah, I can gel with you. There's an energy about you.
Yeah.
And that's why, because I've been following you a while now, I love your work that you do. It's really funny. I'm just starting to catch up on your podcast, and it's almost like what I love about you is that you can take the girl out of Britain, but you can never take Britain out of the girl. And you've kept that, as I hoped I have when if I return to Calgary or when I was out there. So I love that. And I think that when I asked you to come on, I was really hoping you would, because I thought, Dawn, I could chat to you till the cows come home because we have so much in common. And we'd be sitting there going, get your cards out. What do you think? And stuff like that. So, and it's so easy. The thing about Brits, we talk very, very fast. And I think a lot of our lovely American and Canadian I like slow it down, because we do. I notice this.
And we also, like, you're like me. It's like your brain's already over there, and your mouth can't catch up to it because you've already. People say that to me all the time. They're like, I can see your brain. Like, your brain is, and my brain computes things so fast. And I speak fast to try to get it all out, and they don't love that here. And you go to the post office here, a bunch of arseholes at the post office most of the time, and they're so miserable, and you'll be like, and they'll look at you and they go, what? And you'll say it again, what? And you're like, so I've kind of learned that you just go up and just go, I want this, I want that. They actually just respond better to that because they're just not used to how we like to verbalize everything. And we're storytellers, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can't ask the British person just how you're doing, because they'll go, well, me back's hurting up, and then there's the bloody weather, and then did you see that? And that's
that's exactly right.
We end up chatting away. And I think that, when I was, and I've got lots of American friends, and they are awesome, and I love them to pieces. Very different to the Canadian people, very, very different, but just as great. And I think about, with your work and stuff like that, when I hear you do the accent, I'm like, oh, I actually want to start seeing you do sketch with the British side of you and stuff that you remember from when you were a kid,
Yeah.
or because you'd be bloody brilliant at that.
It's funny because I think so much of my pop culture influences growing up were American. So I naturally wanted to do that.
Oh,
Whereas I still respect our shows and our humor way more. Like I think that's way funnier. And I
mm,
suppose as an actor it's so hard what I do because I'm putting on an accent, but I'm not just putting on an accent. I'm putting on an exact person's accent,
mm.
their intonation, everything. And in to boot, I'm doing every little facial expression and every little nuance of their behavior. And so it's actually an incredible skill that I think a lot of people don't appreciate how hard that is. You know, like it's so much more difficult than throwing on an outfit and just standing there and like pouting and whatever. Like that's actually not that hard to do, but to actually, I think I would just like the challenge of it. But you're right, I mean, I love it whenever I've done acting jobs and I've been in a British accent. I've loved it, and I've done quite a few over here in my own accent. And I did an Amazon Prime show a few years back, and it was hilarious. It was called SpongeBob DocuPants.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was basically a reality TV series created by Nickelodeon, which was real human beings interspersed with SpongeBob iconic moments. And so you were like commentated, and I played a British rock star. And they said, and I said, I'm going to play this as if I'm Mick Jagger. Are you okay with that? And they were like, yeah. And you could tell them thinking, who's Mick Jagger? Like that was that sort of.
Yeah.
And I did it, and when I was funny, I put it on a few days ago and just reminded myself, and it's just so funny because it's just me spoofing my own people, like because I'm not, I don't have that particular accent, but
Mm.
I do love any opportunity to be British. It's just that
And
I
so
don't
many
get to a lot.
people do the British accent wrong.
Oh,
Like
it's
you'll
absolutely
listen to them
ridiculous.
and you'll be like, "Excuse me," like, and they do, and they always think we go, "All right, governor, all right, hello, darling," and a
Yeah,
lot of we do, but at the same time, we don't. And I
no,
think there's some. I've watched some terrible American programs where they're trying to do the British accent, and then you've got like people that do it so well, like when Gwyneth Paltrow did Sliding Doors. I mean, that was just
amazing. You
awesome.
can't even tell. Yeah, it's phenomenal. And that's the thing. There's a lot of people have a real a tendency to over dramatize everything, and with accents and stuff it's actually the opposite of that. You need to almost not try, because then it becomes more of a natural delivery. And that's like Gwyneth Paltrow, she clearly took a long time to study that, but then when she delivers it, it looks completely natural. There's no artifice.
If you could play anyone, who would you like to play?
That's an interesting one. I probably would play Madonna, but I can't sing. So no one's going to give me that role. I'm the biggest Madonna fan, and I think that I think from what I've heard is that she's canned every attempt to do a movie about her, because I think she doesn't want anybody to be her, because she feels like it's her.
And
Um,
the American, remember the British accent she came up with when she was with
oh yeah,
Guy
yeah,
Ritchie?
Guy Ritchie,
All of a
yeah,
sudden, she was a Brit, and it
yes.
was like, where did this come from, Madonna? Like
She's
seriously.
she's genius. She honestly, I love her so much. But yeah, I'd love to. I can't sing though, so there'd be no that's one of the things I can't do. There'd be no point trying to be Madonna and not be able to sing. But yeah, I'm trying to think who else. I mean, I have people that I'm just like a huge fan of. Like I love Courtney Cox,
Mm.
because I'm a huge Friends fan, and she's the most closest to my personality. Monica Geller is basically me. Like super scrappy, super loud, super like
Yeah.
just very specific of a person. And so yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to think, but no, Madonna springs to mind just because I think she is the icon. For me, she's the icon.
And if you were to play someone in history, who would you like to play?
mm, that's interesting. I don't know, I've got to be honest, I'm not a big history buff. Like I'm not, it's not that it doesn't interest me, I just don't really, it's never been my thing. I've always loved like pop culture, which is why
Mm.
all of the characters I tend to play and want to kind of be.
Yeah.
I can't see me ever doing anything massively historical. You know what I mean? I just
It's
don't
just
think
a shame
it's.
because I think you'd be really good in it.
I think I could definitely do it, and I would certainly not turn it down. But
You
I
need
don't
to
know,
do
like,
one with Julian when he's back doing on Ingrid, right?
yes.
That would be really cool. I'm going to bring in a friend of mine who's just waiting to come in. Hi, Scotty.
Hi, Wendy. How you doing?
All right. How are you?
I am good. I'm trying to find my window here. I was doing something else.
Meet the lovely Dawn. Have you been
Hello,
watching?
how are you?
Hi, Dawn. I'm good. I've known Wendy for about 20 years, so we go way back.
Amazing.
And we just haven't talked in a while. But I had some really salient male perspective types of things to say on what you guys were talking about. But then you jumped into all sorts of topics, and now I forgot what it was. So,
That's us being British. That's
Yeah,
what we
there
do.
it
we
is.
bounce around a lot.
You have.
And
It didn't have anything to do with accents. It didn't have anything to do with clothing. It had something to do with, I don't even know what it was anymore. But I think I may have put a comment up in the chat room, something I said about, well, when you find that, you got to keep it, kind of thing. Now I don't even remember what that was in reference to.
We
But
were
we're talking relationships.
a relationship, weren't we? We were saying that when you find someone who's actually genuine and has got their shit together and knows what they want.
Yeah. And what do you do? It's, I don't know if it's a what do you do question. Sometimes people don't have their shit together yet. That doesn't mean, does that mean to both of you then? And Dawn, I would ask this of you, does that mean then that that's just somebody you don't want to pursue? Or is it somebody, and by what I mean by not having their shit together is they're figuring stuff out, or they're doing this, or they don't know where they're going to, or there's 10,000 miles between them. What is it that you bring to the table with that thinking? And I'm not thinking of anybody in particular here, Wendy, in case you're thinking, oh, I know who you're talking about. I'm not. What do you feel about that? And both of you feel about that when you look at somebody. I could look at a woman now and say, whoa, she is a hot mess. But, as they say, but that doesn't mean she's a hot mess all the way down to the core. Maybe it's a surface hot mess. Maybe it's a temporal hot mess. Maybe it's something. How do you determine what you weed out and what you keep?
I mean, I think that this actually happened to me recently. I actually met somebody who was completely organically, and just that person was just not in a good place, like not in the right place, wanted to be, but wasn't in the right place. And I've gone through a few like different emotions with that, which has been like, well, they'll get there and then we'll figure it out. And then it's like, no, fuck this. Like I'm moving on. Like, what am I waiting around for? And I think there's no precise answer with that. I think that as women, we generally do give people a chance. I think probably to our like detriment sometimes we'll give people a chance. But I think that as strong women who've been on my own for a long time, I'm less likely to flex as I used to be. I'm a lot more like, well, I want it now and figure it out. And if you want this, figure it out. So I'm definitely don't have the level of patience that I used to have for people to sort stuff out.
Now, do you think, and this is a delicate thing to say, because I'm not asking your age or anything like that, but do you think that's an age thing? As we get a little older, we're going like, fuck it, I don't need that crap.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an age thing. Like in my 20s, I just let people roll all over me, like, and do whatever. And I think that I definitely think it's an age thing. But I also think it's just an independence thing. You know, like you could have just come out of a relationship at 35, 40 or whatever, and not act that way. But if you've been on your own for a longer time, you're going to be a lot more, I think, a lot more selective and a lot more careful because you've chosen to be on your own. So then if you're going to just ruin that, like, it's got to be for something that's worth it. So, you know, I don't know. It's very individual. That's a very individual, subjective.
Oh, and I think I know what it was. You were because you just mentioned the word strong woman, and that went, oh, bing. That's what I was thinking about when I called in. Is that from a guy's perspective, I don't have a problem with a strong woman. I think women sometimes think guys have problems with strong women. And I think there are guys that do. But for the most part, I don't care if I would prefer, me personally, I would rather have a strong woman than a woman that's weak or doesn't know it. And she just, she does whatever you say or follows you around,
Yeah.
or whatever it might be. I'd rather have a woman who is an independent thinker,
Yeah.
knows what she's doing, has her shit together, as we say, her feces coagulated. And I think that if there are thinking men out there that think about life, that live their life, that live by those same rules, I'd rather be a strong man than a weak man.
Yeah.
But so I look for that in a woman. I would want the woman to be the same way. I want you to be strong, independent, free thinking. But when you get together with somebody, then you're taking two strong, independent individualists who become interdependent individuals within a very strong union of two strong people. Anyway, I don't know. I'm preaching a little bit there
Well,
now.
no, but that is the difficulty because Wendy, you might be able to see what you think about this. Do you not think now that you've lived on your own and done your own thing for long enough that it would be very hard to integrate your life 100% with somebody else?
I think that's a very good point, because as you know, when I was younger, I was very tolerant, very tolerant.
Me too.
And I had put up with so much, and you shut your mouth, put up with it. And then you eventually end up on your own for whatever reason, and something crosses over in you, something changes in you, and you've had to cope on your own. You had to deal with everything on your own. And I don't think that, I remember saying, because when Scotty was married, I remember saying to him, you have no idea what it's like out there. It's a nightmare, and the whole dating scenario and everything, and I think that I'm so tired. This is my sort of view. Bullshit, full of bullshit, promising everything, comes up with nothing. There's always an ex around somewhere, or they're not over the ex, or they promise, I'm going to do this, and then, you're still waiting to do it. You get on and do it yourself. You're not waiting for anyone to come and rescue you anymore. You're not waiting for anybody to say, I'm the happy ever after. You want to meet someone who completes you and fulfills you as a woman and fulfills your life, but you're not waiting anymore, because at the end of the day, I see so many men my age and younger and old, around there, that they're like, at my age, looking at where I am, they're either been married a long time and they're still married, or they're coming out and they want to be free for a while because they've been in that relationship for so long. They want to be free. And then you've got the other ones that go, I don't like being on my own. I don't like being single. I need to be with someone because I'm not used to being single, and they want to get into a relationship straight away. For me, it's about, if I'm to break singlehood, I have to be with someone who A, knows what he wants, B, makes it happen, and is consistent. Not like because I think that's just where I am in this part of my life. Maybe if you'd asked me that question a couple of months ago or years ago or whatever, I'd have turned and said, well, that's where I am. But where I am now in my life, it's like, yeah, that's what I've got to have.
Well, wouldn't you equate that a little bit to cynicism? You become more cynical as opposed to more, I've become more intelligent about the way I do this now. But when in reality, we become cynical, we get jaded. I know when I first became single again, you know what I was like. And then it starts to dissipate in a sense, but you're not like you were 20 years ago. You don't go out. I have found in the very short time, relatively speaking, that I have been not married, it's like a shit show out there. There is nowhere to, if you don't have, as a married guy, I'll put it this way. I had my life with my wife, my kids, and everything was, we did what we did. Life was life. We didn't go do lots of extra social things unless it was together. All of a sudden, you're thrust into I went to the local tavern the other night to get a salad of all things and a couple of beers. And I'm sitting there like this, eating my salad, and I'm going, I'm like the you remember the old, I think it was Steve
Really
Martin,
no,
the
mate.
single guy in the restaurant. The spotlight comes on you when you say, "Yes, I'd like a table for one, please," and it echoes. And you know,
Women do strange things. Like I went to Hampton Court last year and I literally went into the restaurant to have a cup of tea and a bit of cake. No lie, Dawn, as I was walking in there was a woman having a cup of tea with her husband. And obviously, like as people walk in the restaurant, they look. And I walked in there and she looked and she got her husband and she grabbed his arm like this, you know, and grabbed him closer. And then I went to a Christmas party a couple of years ago, 2 friends with my sister. And it was like single woman walking, right? Single. And they were like, I was chatting to someone's husband who I've known for a long time, never interested in them, 100%, not interested in them at all. And she was like, huh. It was like the Jaws thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, that's I don't want any part of that. I don't want to be in a relationship where you act like that. And unfortunately, a lot of relationships will make you crazy enough that you do. You know, the person you're with doesn't make you feel like secure enough that you feel that way. I don't want that. Like I absolutely don't. And I've definitely been that person. Not so obviously, but I've definitely been that person where I've had that in my head, that internal thought about women looking at my man and da da da. I'm just so past that now. I'm just really not I'm just not, I don't have time for it. It's so distracting. It distracts you from what you're actually doing and you just don't get stuff done because you're just worrying about nonsense. And that's just that is a cautionary tale for me.
Well,
oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
I was going to say there's such a different perspective though between men and women. Excuse me, because a woman can walk into a bar that's full of men and a woman could win almost any man she wants if she carries herself well. A guy, on the other hand, can walk into a bar full of women and get a lot of backs of heads, no matter how good he looks or how well groomed or if he smells right, you know, or whatever it might be, because of the different physiological brain things that go on between men and women. So guys can go the rest of their lives without picking up a date. A woman could have 100 offers a week. And I mean, that's just the way it works. Well, and I walk into a place and I look at it and I go, I'm older. I got that going on, you know? And I walk into a place and I'm like, hey ladies, yeah, Scotty here. And it's like, you know, I don't really have that kind of attitude, but
like wait till you go on the dating sites. You got to go back on the dating sites. That will really open your eyes to it. But
I have been on the dating site, did you say?
When you go back on the dating sites, if you go back on them, I have to let you go because lovely Dawn we've already gone over time. She was like, I've only could give this time, but I'm really hoping.
No, it's fine. I've just got a little cat who's sitting here staring at me like, are you starving me tonight or are you feeding me?
Know,
she's like this. She's like giving me dirty looks sitting over here.
But it's honestly, Dawn, I really enjoyed having you on here because talking to a British woman where it kind of flows your energy it's
a different ball game. I mean, I live in America, I live in New York, and so I actually don't have long-winded conversations 90% of my week because it's just not worth it. Like the conversations that you do have aren't worth the airtime and you don't get anything from them. So I try not to do it. So actually I've really enjoyed this because it's just a normal conversation between people who get it, you know, and it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare.
I mean, I honestly would say that when you meet someone, you just know. And I just thought when I saw your stuff and I followed you, I think you're awesome what you do. And I think you should definitely carry on, push that boundary.
Oh, I'm going to.
Put the British element on, like maybe do some Brit sketches.
Yeah.
Because with Julian as well, that would really help because he's got almost the accent down to a fine art, right?
Yeah, I think we will definitely do. I think I've made a decision like recently to do a lot more acting stuff, content wise. I think I think people are just really enjoying it. They're really enjoying it. You can tell by the comments how much people are just loving the scenes. You know, we're doing the bigger ensemble scenes where we're playing multiple characters.
I
And,
saw that.
I think people really like it. I think they think it's clever, and it is clever. It is clever because you're switching accents and you're switching. Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
You switching accents and you flipping into different characters. And it's a skill, and I think in terms of showing how good of an actor you are, I don't think there's any better medium to do it. And so it's like for me,
Yeah.
I've just realised and gone, I'm really talented. I'm not going to sit around waiting for people to tell me that. I'm just going to put it out there and go, this is what I can do. And at some point, you know, hopefully it will go the way it's supposed to go. But no, I'm definitely going to do more skits. So I'm always open to suggestions.
I love it. So Dawn, tell people where they can find you and find your work.
Of course. So the podcast is called The Icons Edit, available on all major platforms. I'm on all social media under @Dawn Anna Williamson. So you can find me on every platform, TikTok, Instagram. And then last of all, my brand is Carry by Dawn, which is
Yes.
we didn't talk about it, but basically I recreate clothes from the show and I sell them. It's a small business, it's a small endeavor. It's not like Primark, you know, it's just I make clothes, I design pieces from the show and sell them for my followers who really appreciate it. You know,
You've got
things that you
this.
can't, you
You've
know,
got this dress, haven't you? This is one of the dresses
yeah,
that you
that's
recreated.
That's Donna Karen. I've never recreated it for my brand. I've done I think 5 pieces now for the brand, which is, like I said, it's just more a labor of love to like take an outfit that people have not been able to find, you know, like something like you know, when she's arguing with Big in the restaurant when he tells her he's getting engaged to Natasha and she's like Nijinsky or whatever her name is, and she's wearing that gorgeous pink wrap dress. No one's ever found that dress or identified who it was made by. So I designed and made it for my brand and then
It
produced
was,
it.
and
So
the black one which she wore to go to the, is it the Playboy?
yeah, and I did that one, and then I did
Beautiful.
the plaza dress too, the white satin with the V-neck when she's outside the plaza with Big, and then I did the iconic little grey dress that she's wearing, you know, when she walks down the street with the aviators on.
The newspaper dress, isn't it, as well?
Oh, see, that's people ask me for that all the time, and I'm like, how do you think I can recreate that?
I know,
It's
but
just it's impossible.
it's Carry by Dawn, isn't it? Carry by Dawn.
Carrybydawn.com, yeah, and so that's where I kind of like put any, and then I do the other thing I do on there is if I can, I get together original pieces from the show and I sell them like twice a year. I'll do a Sex and the City wardrobe sale, and people get to actually buy pieces from the show, which has been it's great, but it's really hard work. It's so hard to find the pieces as it is, and then to like get enough of them together for people to buy. And so yeah, there's quite a lot going on, but you can pretty much find me Dawn Anna Williamson under most social media.
Oh, I mean, Instagram is. I mean, I always know it's going to be a good day when I go on my Insta and I see there's a new skit and I'm like, which one has she done?
Oh, I love that. You'll like it tomorrow. There's one going out tomorrow. It's I've just did it yesterday. The one where Samantha gets a AIDS test, the HIV test, and she's and she's she's like, how many people have you slept with? And she's like, and it's so good. So I just did that one. So I'm dropping that one in the morning. I'm just going to mess around with it, and it's very quiet at the moment work wise because I'm a live streamer. I do fashion live streams. August is July, August is really quiet in New York anyway, but it's also the economy's so shit right now. So I have a lot more time to dedicate towards these strange endeavors that I do around my house.
Well, I really hope that you could come back on here, girl, and we can chat and put the world to rights, because it's been so much fun. I could talk to you for hours, and literally, it's like there's so much in common, and you know, people were saying to me, you got to do some psychic stuff on here. You got to do.
Yeah, you really should. I love that.
I haven't done that for quite a while. I really haven't. I need to do that. But I also think as well, if you ever come, you don't come down to London much, though, do you? Because you're further out the country.
I used to go down whenever I came home. I'd always make a trip, but I think it's because of my close friends that were down there all moved back to their respective. They had families and moved back. So I think the people that I was visiting and the reason for going down and kind of like having a dinner and stuff isn't there as much. So I haven't been down for a while, but I do frequently fly into Heathrow and then usually just jump straight on the train and go straight, because I'm from Birmingham, go back up to Birmingham. But no, I mean, it's like I live in Birmingham. I live an hour and 15 minutes from London on the train. So next time I'm back, I'll give you a shout.
100%, because like we got to put the worlds to right. But it's been so much fun. I mean, from your Instagram to your acting work to Carrie by Dawn to all the sketches and everything you do, you're a woman of many talents, my lovely, and you have to carry that on. And honestly, I've really enjoyed this. It's not often I do a show where I'm like, forget everyone watching, we'll just put the world to rights. And I really, really loved it. So I hope everybody's really enjoyed it. I know I've got to let lovely Dawn go, but I would say to everybody, please follow her work. She is awesome and you won't regret it. And the lovely Julian Sewell as well. He is amazing. Right, we will be back next week. Wicked Women will be back next week at 9 o'clock. I believe there are 3 more shows already out there. One is Where Do You Truly Belong? And that's going to be quite an interesting show. The second week after that is Brookwood and Beyond, which is Paul Allen, where we look at, he's a brilliant guy. He looks quite a psychic guy, but he looks into like famous graves and everything like that. It's really cool. And then the other one is What Do Women Find Sexy in Men? Something like that. I can't remember the title. So that's the next 3 shows coming up. So Dawn, if you just hang on a minute, my lovely, while I shut the show down.
I will.
You. But thank you once again. You've been
Thanks for having me. That was so much fun.
I've really had fun. Everybody else, have a great week. Have a safe week. Like, share, subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you next Sunday. And I'm trying to find a song to go out. It is here somewhere. It's really weird. Sometimes this just works really well. Other times it doesn't.
That's life.
But it's here. All right. Hang on a minute. I'll be with you one sec. See you soon, guys. Bye. Come on. Play for mummy. Here we go.